on, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the evolution of Sports Talk Television on a happy
Hump Day
edition of the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake. How do we start off this show? As you know them, you love them, you got to have them. Three things. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. On tonight's show, we'll have Harry, the Greek professional handicapper extraordinaire. Should be on with us in just a little bit. We will have the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty, former Coach Scout and now media member of Night Sports Productions and Amped Up Sports. We will have Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy on with us talking what else about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Some stories out there just a week away from the start of training camp. Are you ready? Let's go! Ready? Are you ready? I know I am. I don't know about you, but I know I'm ready for football season after, the Lightning's disappointment, the baseball season here, a second half. And then, of course, we'll talk about the Tampa Bay Rays as the stadium vote is going into effect tomorrow. Rays fans, do you feel confident about that vote going through tomorrow? With the numbers released today from Forbes, and this was in care of the J.P. Peterson show, I thought it was quite disappointing. I made no mistake about this. I've said this over and over again, that this Tampa Bay Rays team needs to do more. And the numbers don't lie, do they? No, they don't. And I know there's people out there that are saying, the Rays are the little sisters of the poor, that they're not making that. They made $301 million, and their payroll this year is $100. I mean, that's not going to get it done. But we've been through this over and over again, and I've talked about this ad nauseum of how I felt about this. This is nothing personal, but when you're used to something which the standard has been set here in the Tampa Bay area, has it not? When it comes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going all in, spending the money to win. It's been proven time in and time out. The Tampa Bay Lightning, again, the model organization, not only in the Tampa Bay area, but also nationally. I get it. They got rid of Steven Stamkos. It's the business of the sport. But look at the last 5 to 10 years. So why is this so difficult to understand? I love the response and the engagement on Facebook with this article that was put out today, which, by the way, AI didn't write it. I wrote it myself. I can write. It's amazing. It's an amazing thing. Not only do the Rays recaps do this show, but also write a little bit. Have some opinions. I put it out there. The last time a team has won a World Series with lower than a 15th payroll would be, drum roll. Where's the drum roll at? The 2003 Florida Marlins. So let's put this in the context of what the Rays are all about. I love the Rays. Don't get me wrong. I have Tropicana in the back. You know that I cover this team on a daily basis if I'm not doing my 4 jobs that I have to do when I'm driving Uber, driving a Tesla around. Not a bad thing, but you got to make ends meet. That's how you have to work it. So I can't do a recap. Doesn't mean I hate the Rays. Doesn't mean I'm not a Rays fan. I'm a Bucs fan. I'm a Tampa Bay Rays fan. I'm a Tampa Bay Lightning fan. I'm from here. I've been here all my life. I'm not an outsider. Like I said in the article, I've seen Major League Baseball use and abuse the Tampa Bay area to get the other teams their stadiums. So please don't come at me with that nonsense. But, what I'm trying to tell you is that it's not all what you think it is. So, yeah, they may get this passed. They may get the $2.4 billion stadium that they want. I'm happy. I hope it happens. I'm an admin of I Love St. Pete. Of course I want it to happen. Of course I want Tampa Bay to have a baseball team. but on the constraints of if you get your new baseball team, do you start spending more money than what you have? Because again, 1-21. It's been 21 years since a team has won a World Series. That's like Alex Jackson and his batting average. Does that work for you? Why is this so hard to understand, Rays fans? They're all about analytics and numbers, yet they gloss over this. That's what I want to talk about tonight. And of course, we're going to talk about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Let's go out to IndyCar Tim there of the FanStream Sports. Love me some Bucs Creamsicle. Absolutely. As that was the other top story of the day. The Bucs released when they're going to have the creamsicle. They released when they're going to have the all red out. We'll definitely get into that. And then, of course, we'll have Ralph Williams here coming on about 10:30, talking about WWE, AEW, professional wrestling, turnbuckle talk. It's all here for you. And when people say it's a podcast, listen, I do podcasts. I love doing a podcast, but this is live. This is like a TV and radio show without the network, without all the nonsense, without the commercials. We got you covered here with the engagement. Definitely tune in and participate. Let's go out to Eric. Hey, Peter Blake, what's going on, buddy?
Oh, yeah.
Let's go out to Giovanni. Hey, Pete, me and Bucknuts are going to be at Riverders this season. Will give me a shout out because I'm going to be at Raymond James Stadium for Monday Night Football. Love it. And listen, if Riverders wants to have the evolution of sports talk television or the JP Peterson show, we will bring our cameras up there. We will bring our lights up there. We will bring our switchers and sound effects, and we will make it happen. We will show you what the evolution of sports talk television, which no other Bucs platform is doing right now. Thank you, Giovanni. Peter, what's going on? Carlos?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and thank you very much. No, they don't. So again, we'll definitely talk about that, and I want to get your thoughts on Monty Kiffin because it's been a long time since me and you have gotten to chat about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers and what happened. Of course, Monty Kiffin passed away. Rest in peace, the architect of the Tampa 2. If you have any memories, any thoughts, anything you have to say, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. So without further ado, let's get the legend on. Here we go. Former Coach Scout and now media member of Night Sports Productions, Amped Up Sports, my buddy, the legend himself, out there on remote location. Where in the world are you, Leo Haggerty? Welcome to the evolution of sports talk television, my friend.
Well, tonight, Peter, I'm at the University of Massachusetts, in Dartmouth, Massachusetts. It's on the southeast coast, right before you get to Cape Cod, and we're doing our last football camp out here. There's one in Virginia that's going to finish before us, but this is it for the summer, and I see it's excitement in Tampa now with everybody thinking that that Stu Sternberg is squeezing that dollar tight again.
Well, yeah, and we talked, and I put that out there, the first of it, and I got some resistance, and that's okay. Everybody can have an opinion, but Forbes put this article out there, put this graph out there of how much the Rays made in 2023, which is $301 million. Guess how much they invested in their cap? $100 million, which is less than anybody out of this graph, out of anybody in Major League Baseball. So my thing is, listen, I know that we're all getting excited about this stadium vote being put into effect and finally, for the love of God, putting the stadium talk in the rearview mirror. What I want to know is anything going to change? Are they going to continue to be cheap over there? Are they continue to try to tell us that the numbers don't matter when the numbers do matter? Because I just pointed it out, there hasn't been a team since 2003 because of the spending of 15th or lower that has won a World Series. That gives you a chance, and that's what you won a division title, you won a wild card, but what if you put in more money at that point. Would you have a couple World Series championships? Because I kind of guarantee that if you had a couple World Series championships with all that talent that's come in and out of here, that most likely we wouldn't be having this stadium talk here on the Sports Web. Your thoughts?
Well, you know, Peter, I think the worst thing that happened to the Tampa Bay Rays is going to the World Series and keep returning to the playoffs, because it's showing ownership that what they're doing is getting them to the playoffs, and that's where they're making that extra money. Remember, when you get to the playoffs, you don't share revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Visiting team gets X amount of dollars when they come in. The NFL does it, the NBA does it, NHL does it, Major League Baseball does it, except for the playoffs. You keep everything. So the Rays are making extra money by being cheap, if you want to call it being cheap, but they depend on pitching and defense. They always have, they always will.
Yeah.
And remember, I asked Joe Madden, I said, how much of the game is pitching? He said 90%. I said, what's the other 10%? Joe said pitching. They should call it pitch ball, because if you pitch, you win. So, again, the worst thing that happens is they saw that they didn't have to spend a lot of money to make money. Remember, winning the World Series may not be in the best interest of ownership. I can remember going back when the Packers won it and they were the wild card team. They had no home games.
Right.
So they won. They had to play 3 games, no money, won the championship. That's like a Pyrrhic victory. You know, you won the battle, but you didn't win the war. Yeah, you got the Lombardi Trophy, but you got no money to show for it.
Yeah, you're exactly right. We're also on I Love St. Pete, the return there, because we figured some stuff out. Ben Cornett says from Las Vegas, good evening, Peter Blake. What's going on?
Oh, yeah.
And rest in peace to the godfather of the Tampa 2 defense. Now, I know we're jumping around. We'll get back to that in a moment, because I want to get your thoughts on Monty Kiffin. It seems like forever, my friend. It was only a week, and it seems like it's been a month since we've seen each other and since we conversated about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But what's your general sense of this? Do you think the vote goes through tomorrow for the new stadium?
Well, you know what, Peter? I'm going to change subjects real quick, because I'm sitting here with Seneca Wallace, the former quarterback in the NFL. And Seneca, when we talk about Monty Kiffin.
Whoa!
And we talk about Monty Kiffin. What was it like playing against that Tampa 2?
The Tampa 2 defense was it was before its time. It was a very simple defense, but it was effective. If all the defensive players were in their perfect alignment, we saw it in Chicago for years, and it was very, very effective. As long as you can generate enough pass rush, we saw it with the Indianapolis Colts under Tony Dungy. So it was one of those defenses that was going to last for the test of time.
Yeah, you're exactly right. We're on with Seneca Wallace, Leo Haggerty, which is a surprise here. Welcome to the evolution of sports talk television. Always welcome, my friend. And I got to ask you, you and Leo hanging out, you know the secret with hanging out with Leo Haggerty, you're always going to eat well. So what have you ate so far? And then on top of that, what are your thoughts on, of course, the quarterback down here with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield?
Right now, we just got done eating Domino's pizza. Shout out to Domino's. We got it right here. We got some cheese pizza. We got some pepperoni. But as far as Baker Mayfield in Tampa, he's in a great situation. He's battled back. He's found a home now after leaving Cleveland and bouncing around for a couple of teams, Carolina and the Rams. So I think he's going to be successful. I think right now what he did last year kind of just set the platform for what he can do for the continuous of his career.
You know, Peter, I'm going to jump in and ask Seneca a question, because Mayfield played when he was hurt.
Correct.
Trevor Lawrence played last year when he was hurt. And everybody said, well, his performance went down. How much does it mean to the players for your quarterback to guts it up and go out and play, even though he's not 100%?
Right. I mean, it means a lot. I think it tells you the toughness, number one, of that quarterback. It tells you his passion for the game. It tells you what he's invested into the game as far as the franchise and himself go. So for Baker, we knew that he was on borrowed time. You know, he was bouncing around. He was a former first-round draft pick, and he knew he had to play through adversity. And I think ownership showed that in return by signing him back, giving him an extension, giving him money, by him going through and gutting through some adverse moments. And that just shows his toughness. That's the kind of player Baker Mayfield was, though. You know, he had to overcome a lot. He was a former walk-on, had to prove himself, and he continues to do that throughout his football career.
In your opinion, Seneca, we're on with the surprising guest here. That's why you got to tune in to the evolution. Former NFL quarterback, Mr. Seneca Wallace, along with the legend himself, Leo Haggerty. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. What, in your opinion, what's going to be what's the toughest transition for a quarterback? Because I want to go out to Caleb Williams. Much has been made about, the Bears drafting him. In your opinion, what's going to be the toughest transition for a young quarterback like a Williams with the Bears or J.J. McCarthy with the Minnesota Vikings? And, of course, when I try to ask that question, they go. So let me go ahead and try to ask that question if you guys heard it. Seneca, what's the toughest transition for a young quarterback coming into the league?
I think just understanding the speed of the game. I think over the last couple of years, they've done a great job, if you guys can hear us, with the offensive coordinators, making sure that the offense are tailored to what the strengths and weaknesses are of the quarterback. And Caleb Williams is one of those kids who has been in the spread system all his career, and I think they're going to do a good job. He just has to understand the speed of the game and understanding how to be a professional. I think that's always one of the toughest parts. He's going to have some flashes this season, as we already know, and then he's going to have maybe potentially a sophomore slump, because they always do, because we're not expecting a ton. Anything from a rookie quarterback, and he comes out and he shows just a little bit, we're like, okay, let's see what he does next year. And I think that's going to be the situation. He's surrounded by great talent. DJ Moore, Keenan Allen. They just took the first rounder from Washington. So he has talent around him. Now it's just a matter of, can he spread the ball around? And that's what he did at USC and Oklahoma. So it'll be fine.
You know what, Seneca? I'm going to ask you that. Should we send this tape to C.J. Stroud down in
there you go.
Hey, the sophomore slump, it happens, right?
It happens. But, in C.J. Stroud's case, I think it's and I think that the sophomore slump is a thing that, like, again, the change in the NFL and its revolution is changing. We might not see it. Because why? They got young offensive coordinators. You got innovative offensive coordinators who are just going to continue to keep dialing into what his strengths are. And if those offensive coordinators keep doing that, we might not see it. They might say, hey, we're going to keep this simplistic and be able to let this kid just throw the ball around the field like he did last year. And if they continue to do that, we might not see that with C.J. Stroud.
What's your analysis on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? In your opinion, do you think they can repeat and win that NFC South? What do you see that record? Do you see it going higher here? And then how would it be if you were a quarterback of the Bucs to work with a guy like a Mike Evans and, of course, Chris Godwin, two consummate professional wide receivers in this league?
With Tampa, I mean, the sky's the limit. I mean, they're 2-3 years removed from winning the Super Bowl. They got great talent on the defensive side of the ball. We all know that with the two linebackers that they have there. And Baker has to come in. And I think, again, this is the perfect storm, the perfect situation for Baker Mayfield to step in right away and have some success like he did and continue that. And so I think right now with Tampa, I think they're going to be able to run it back and win that division. With the situation with, New Orleans got Spencer Rattler late in the draft. We got our kid, a young kid from Alabama that ended up going to Carolina. Atlanta's still trying to figure themselves out and keep rebuilding. So I think Baker is kind of the chosen one. I mean, yeah, they got Kirk Cousins in Atlanta and Penix.
But he's coming off an injury.
But he's coming off an injury, and so we don't really know. So the only proven team really over the last few years in that division has been Tampa. So I think it's their division to lose.
Peter, one more question to Seneca. Then he's got to go out, or the wife's going to throw him out of the house.
They're turning the lights off.
Turn the lights out on him.
What are you guys doing there right now? I mean, tell us about what you're doing there with the legend himself, Leo Haggerty.
Well, right now, this is with SI, and this is something that's really important to me. I've been doing this with Sports International for a few years now. First time being up here in the Northeast.
Thank you, Corey.
Thank you, which is excellent. And so it's a football camp that's I do the receivers and the quarterbacks, and I just love coming back because it's part of who I am. Being able to see these younger kids come back year after year, because we do it in Seattle. I've been doing it 10 years. I've been knowing this man for almost 10 years since I've been doing it. And so to be able to see these young kids continue to reach their potential as quarterbacks or receivers or DBs, it means the world to me. So that's why I always keep coming back doing Sports International camps.
Love it, man. Good stuff there. Thanks a lot for the time. Former NFL quarterback, Mr. Seneca Wallace. That's why I tell you, you always got to tune in because you never know who's going to pop
Thank
on.
you, buddy.
Love that good stuff there. I could interview that guy all night long about the NFL quarterbacks and everything else. So we'll work on trying to get more questions. But what are your memories of the late, great Monty Kiffin?
Oh, Lord. I tell you what, Monty was a trip. Now, I did the math. The Tampa 2, everybody was one gap. I said, okay, there's 8 gaps, and they're playing cover 2. 2 squad corners, 2 middle safeties. That's 12 guys. You're playing Canadian. I go, Monty, how do you do this? You're running out of guys. He said, one of our guys has 2 gaps, but we're not going to tell you. You want to know who that guy was most of the time, Peter? 55, Derek Brooks. He was their 2-gap player. Everybody else was their 1-gap player.
Wow. Great stuff. Great stuff there. And I always think of him as the architect of the Tampa 2. I mean,
him and Dungy. Yeah,
him and Dungy. Can you tell us what was so unique? Because we know it's the linebacker and it's the safeties and everything like that. But what is so unique besides the talent of what he had around him with Monty Kiffin in that Tampa 2 defense?
He had the right people in the right place to do this. John Lynch was not a cover guy, but he could go down in the box.
Right.
So Lynch would go down in the box. They drop one of those. And Peter, here's the thing, and people need to understand this. When we were up in Philly watching the Bucs, when Rondé Barber had the interception and shut the vet down that last game, people don't realize when the Eagles under Jimmy Johnson, and Jimmy Johnson was a guru on defense as a coordinator.
Sure.
When they went to their pass defense, they would substitute 8 guys. When the Bucs went to theirs, 1 guy. Brian Kelly came in, Singleton went out. They had 10 guys on that defense that were every down players. I don't think you can say that about anybody anymore. Maybe the Bears back when they ran the 46, but the fact that they had everybody there, and I'll still say this till I die, Simeon Rice was the missing piece to that puzzle because he brought that edge rusher that forced you to block him and not double and triple team sack.
Completely agree with you, and I feel like he should be in the Hall of Fame and all that nonsense once again, and I use that word a lot here on the sports web of, well, he could just rush the passer. Yeah, that's a winning thing that he could do better than anybody else. He played the run. He was an integral part of that defense, and even Monty Kiffin would say, I think that he was missing piece. Good evening, fellas, says Tim. Thanks a lot for tuning in.
Yeah.
As always, Christopher Cole, what's going on? What's going on with you, buddy? Woo! Let's go out to Ben Parrish. Always love to hear this from Bucs Nation. Baker's going to bake. Let's go. Let's go! I know that's Tom Brady, but that's okay. We're going to keep that. So pumped for the season. We're listening in California. Love that. Let's go out to Ben. Peter Blake always bringing the great content and Bucs info. Appreciate it. Absolutely, my friend. Thanks a lot for tuning in here on YouTube as we're trying to build those numbers up a little bit. And Leo as well. First and foremost, do you think Baker Mayfield is a top 5 quarterback? Because, of course, Tyreek Hill out there, number 5. And now the disrespect from the national media. He's not even a top 10 quarterback. I heard Colin Cowherd yesterday. They've had their battles saying he's a franchise quarterback, but he's not top 10. He's not even top 12. I mean, where do you rank Baker Mayfield, in your opinion, Leo Haggerty?
You know what, Peter? And I talked about this with Gus Kattengill on ESPN Radio. If you're talking top 10, but from last year's performance only, Baker Mayfield's a top 10 quarterback.
Right.
So's Goff. So's Brock Purdy. They've got teams to the playoffs. If you're talking about over a career, now he's right on the cusp. He's right on that 9, 10, 11, 12, right on that spot. Because Baker just can't put 2 seasons together because he gets banged up. That's why I asked Seneca how important it was to play hurt. Baker will play hurt, but it hurts his contract the next year because they go, well, he wasn't that good. Well, he wasn't that good because he was banged up. The same thing with Trevor Lawrence. They're saying Trevor Lawrence is the top 10 quarterback. Well, he played 2 months where he couldn't even practice, but he showed up in the game. That makes points with your teammates. That's all. Baker is right on that cusp. He's right on that, top 10. You got to throw Rodgers in there. You got to throw Kirk Cousins in there at the top. You got to throw Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen. You got to throw them in. But after that, pretty much a shooting match.
It is. Let's go back out to the comments here because I love the web heads, and you guys can always comment.
Peter, do me a favor.
Yes, what's up?
Talk for a minute. I may have to sell pizzas here, okay? Hold on.
All right, sell some pizzas there. Leo Haggerty selling pizza, doing what he always does. Former Coach Scout and now media member of Night Sports Productions and Amped Up Sports. You got to love that, right? He's selling pizza. He's getting us a former NFL quarterback. I mean, how can you not like what the evolution of sports talk television is all about? And open phone lines here in just a little bit. The phone lines are open if you want to call in and talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, talk about, of course, the Tampa Bay Rays and that stadium vote. And then, of course, a little bit later, Turnbuckle talk with Mr. Ralph Williams, bodyguard of the Berg. The Tampa defense was so famous, it was used in the game called Blitz. Rest in peace, Monty Kiffin. And it was used by not only, video games, but used by the majority of teams. And let me go out to you, Leo, because look, the NFL, they're all about, trying to duplicate success and do this and do that. And they try to do that a lot with most of the teams try to do the Tampa 2 defense. Why do you think eventually teams were able to catch up on it and now you don't see it as much as you used to? Was it the level of talent, or was it the scheme in itself did have their weaknesses to it?
You need a middle linebacker that can get deep down the middle. That's hard to find. People don't realize that the Tampa 2 was a misnomer. It was 2 safeties, 2 corners, and the Mike linebacker went down the middle. He was the third guy. You got to have a guy fast enough to cover that middle of the field deep while the safeties stand on the hash marks. Now, Peter, we go back to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Jeff, I know you can probably back me up on this. Bud Carson created, he didn't call it the Tampa 2. He didn't call it the Pittsburgh 2. He called it a double zone. And they would play 2 safeties. And the theory was they could get deep enough that the quarterback couldn't throw to anybody. Well, guess what? Who shows up in the league? Dan Marino. And Dan Marino would just run 4 fly. He'd run those 2 Smurfs down the middle, the other 2 Smurfs down the sideline. He would sit back and see what safety leaned one way or the other, and his arm strength was able to do it. The Tampa 2 was really the Tampa 2.5 because that Mike linebacker would get deep down the middle every now and then.
Love it. Good stuff there. Let me go out to I Love St. Pete, Mr. Ben Cornett. Also, the leadership that Baker Mayfield showed last year was fun to watch, and it made the team better and tougher on both sides.
Peter, hold on a second. Jeff, come on here. Oh, yeah. You got to talk about the Detroit Lions. I mean, come on.
Who do we got? Who do we got here?
He's being bashful on me now.
Jeff who?
No, he can't come on. He's not ready. He's just listening. He's enjoying the conversation.
Well, good. Hopefully he is, and we appreciate you, Jeff. Always welcome here on The Evolution. Definitely top 10, maybe closer to 8. Michael says, good stuff from youth camp. Love the webheads tonight. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Carlos. This OC bringing the motion to our offense, making us less predictable. Definitely going to open up the offense.
Peter, hold on. Let me comment on that.
Yes.
It's not going to be just motion. It's going to be shifts. It's going to be movement. It's going to be looking like the Rockettes before they snap the ball. This guy, Liam Cohen, is a disciple of McVay. And the problem is you got 3 guys like that now. You got the guy in Atlanta. I think his name's Robinson. You got the guy in New Orleans, and you got Liam Cohen in Tampa. You're all going to see a whole bunch of movement. Pre-snap movement drives defenses nuts because they got to keep moving and shifting and changing their coverage. You know, at least once a quarter, maybe twice, they're going to be in a bad coverage. If they got time to do it, and I always tell people this, if you can recognize a cover 4 where they're 4 deep, and you can get the positioning where one guy breaks right across the face of the one safety and the other guy runs a post behind him, that's called touchdown, Peter. And that's what happens.
Yeah, that's what happens. I mean, do you expect this offense to get off to a flying start because there is some type of the players being familiar with the offense from Dave Canales? It's going to be the same type of offense, but it's going to be different terminology? Would you expect them to get off to a flying start, namely a Baker Mayfield?
Not really, Peter, because you can't practice game situations, and that's the killer. You just don't know. I look for September and October to be that learning curve. If they can be 5-3, great if they're 6-2, but they're 5-3, even 4-4, they're still in the hunt. That's all that matters.
Yeah, that's definitely all that matters. I want to go out to Baker Mayfield, who was on the Mike Halta show, and he had this to say about Tampa. We truly love Tampa so much. I'm a proud born and raised Texan, and we're going to pick up our spot and try to sell it in Austin and become full-time Floridians now. I mean, we just fell in love with it, and just the lifestyle down here, it's so laid back. I think the community is unbelievable. He also had this to say when it came to dirty laundry. He felt like he was being thrown out like dirty laundry. And I think that was the sense there when Cleveland decided to go with the Deshaun Watson over him, which, by the way, again, he played hurt and still was able to lead Cleveland to the playoffs and win a playoff game, which is unheard of with this franchise. And then they just threw him out for supposedly a better option, which, by the way, it hasn't been a better option. In fact, it's been an even worse contract situation. So that means so much, right?
Yeah, and again, Peter, because he played hurt, it killed his contract situation.
Yeah.
Again, you're between a rock and a hard place here.
Mm-hmm.
If you're the best option at 60%, you go and play. And most of these guys that are starters, they are. And that's a problem. So, yeah. And this is why I think the national media is kind of downplaying the Bucs, because Baker hasn't been able to stay healthy 2 years in a row. And again, the people that come out in the media and say, well, he can't stay healthy. Well, guess what? It's not his fault. Sometimes he gets hit in a situation. Sometimes he gets banged up because of things that happen. But it's not his fault. You don't go out and say, hey, let me go tear a tricep. Let me go blow out a knee. Let me go pull a hammy. You know what? It happens. It's part of the game.
Yep.
You just hope that the injury god you're not on his list this year.
Yeah, well, you absolutely hope that. Speaking of playing injured, Mr. Christopher Cole says, I'm just getting over COVID, so prayers to you, my friend. I hope you're okay. Thank you very much for tuning in.
Yeah.
We love you here, Christopher Cole. I want to go out really quick. Baker Mayfield, more passing touchdowns than last year, over, under, your thought?
Oh, over, because they're going to throw the ball a lot more. See, that's why I disagree with what Harry said. They're going to run it selectively.
Okay.
They're going to run it early to try and set up the play action. But I think this team wants to throw the football, because let's be honest. Where do you want the ball in whose hands? Evans, Godwin, or White? You know, just that's probably the order right there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, again, it's a passing league. There's no sense even trying to ignore that. Mm-hmm. That you got to have a guy. But the key is the number of passes. If they can keep Mayfield 25 or less, they're going to win a lot of games. If he's got to go over 25, that means they're probably behind and they're trying to catch up.
Well, you're exactly right about that. And Greg Rosenthal of NFL.com seems to agree with you, in care of our friends there at Joe Bucs Fan. They wrote about this. They said that, the Bucs may have to learn lean on the offense to win games. He says Mike Evans is still a star, but this is a skill position group good enough to elevate a mid-level starting See, again, mid-level starting quarterback in Baker Mayfield. The lack of continuity at offensive coordinator with Liam Cohen replacing Canales is a concern. You said you don't. Do you think that's a concern for you? Is that a concern for you, Cohen replacing Canales? Because I tend to believe that the offense will be better off with Cohen because there won't be the transition process I love Dave Canales. I've talked about this on this show, but I don't think the transition process is going to be, it's not going to be there like it was last year. In fact, I think the Bucs do get off to a flying start. I agree with my colleague, my co-host, Mr. Harry the Greek. They could be 5-1. What do you say?
Well, I don't think they will be, Peter, but that's just the way of the world right now. The way that game is scheduled, they got 2 4:00 games early. They're going to probably be lightning down till 7 or 8, which is terrible. Because players, they want to play. They don't want to sit in the locker room.
Sure.
But the way the Bucs offensive coordinatorship has transpired is the way it wanted to. You went with Canales. You set the groundwork. Last year, new quarterback, new offensive coordinator. You wanted to get the quarterback comfortable. You didn't want to put a lot of bells and whistles in there. Get him comfortable. Get the ball out of his hands. Now, he's got a guy he's dealt with before in Liam Cohen. So, yes, Baker's going to be comfortable. But the receivers in that, they're not going to be comfortable because there's so much changes and so much movement. I mean, let's be honest. Evans and Godwin were happy lining up. Evans wide, Godwin in the slot. Okay? Not moving around, not shaking around, but that's what's going to happen. They're going to be moving all over the place. So, again, it's going to take time. It's going to take 2, 3, maybe 4 games. But after that, if everybody's healthy, that could be a juggernaut on offense. It could be.
It could be. I absolutely agree with you. I love Bucky Irving there. I love the improved offensive line. In fact, that to me is what I think Bucs fans should be looking forward to. Not only do you have your 2 bookends there, according to Pro Football Focus, and of course a Tristan Wirfs who could become, if not already, the best left tackle in the league. You've got a Luke Gedeke at the right side. You got an improved center with Graham Barton coming in. You've got a battle there at left guard. Is it going to be Bretterson? Is it going to be Opeta? Is it going to be Klein? And then, of course, you got the second-year pro and Cody Mock. I am so looking forward to what this offensive line can do, along with, the back end on the defensive.
And you know what, Peter? The toughest thing to coach is offensive line because 5 have to act as 1.
Right.
And I've been told, and I stick with this premise, that for every position that changes on the offensive line, it's 2 games. I don't expect this offensive line to gel until October.
Right.
Simply because you're going to have a new center in Barton. You're going to have a new left guard. Everything else is fine. Remember last year, Peter, they had 5 new guys, pretty much.
Sure.
And it took them a while.
Yeah.
It's going to take a while to do that because of that and because of the rules. Because you're only allowed 20 padded practices once the season starts. Think about that now.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Agree. I want to go out to KR and then we'll get you out of here because I know you're on some type of pitch count. And of course, you want to eat the Domino's pizza there. Evening, guys. Happy hump day. Thank you very much, KR, for tuning in. As always, that's not the one I was looking for. That's the
there
one.
it is.
Sorry about that. It happens sometimes. User error. It happens. And Bucs stay healthy. Plus 10 wins easily. I say 11. You're a smart man. You've been watching the show, Ben.
And again, the key part is if they stay healthy.
If they stay healthy, knock on wood. And the Kentucky Wildcats offense regressed under Cohen. I definitely think that has to do with the quarterback play there with Will Levis not there in the fold. There was definitely a tough transition. I'm not going to put that all on Cohen, but I still think he's more familiar with calling NFL because he's done it with the Rams. And of course, like you said, with McVay. Now, there was an update.
Well, you know what, Peter? Let me answer that real quick.
Sure.
Yeah, Kentucky regressed, but when you got to play Georgia, when you got to play Alabama, when you got to play LSU, when you got to play Tennessee, that's murderer's row.
Yeah.
It's not like you're playing the good sisters of the poor. So, yeah, they regressed. They ended up in a bowl game with Clemson that came down to the last play.
Yes.
So, Kentucky's got it going in the right direction. That's all you can ask in the SEC if you're not one of those big 4. And now with Oklahoma and Texas coming in, man, oh, man, what a meat grinder that is.
What do you make of this report? Let's switch gears here. We'll go back to the Bucs in a moment. But FSU not being invited to the Big Ten or the SEC, both of those conferences not wanting FSU because they're – and this goes back to if the ACC is able to last, which more than likely it's not going to. So what do you make of these reports? Is this haters once again hating on FSU, or, should FSU fans be concerned that they're going to be left out in the cold and eventually go with the Big 12? Because I think the Big 10 would absolutely love to have FSU. What do you say?
Nope, neither one, Peter. They're set and they're happy. And that's why I don't understand why FSU wants to get out, because it's not like somebody wants you to come in. You need to stay in the ACC. Clemson, same way. You need to stay there simply because there's no place to go. The Big Ten doesn't want you. The SEC doesn't want you. Only because there's 16 teams. They don't want to share the money with two more.
Mm-hmm.
So they're happy. And again, the fact that this is going on shows me a real lack of vision by these schools by thinking, oh, they're going to want us. Remember, Florida State, up until last year, they were terrible in football.
True.
They were non-existent for 5, 6, 7 years. You have one good year, and now you want to jump ship? No.
Well,
Peter,
I think it's the money aspect of it. They see more money, and there's no guarantee that the ACC does stick around because of that.
What's going to happen to it, Peter? Here's what I think is going to happen, Peter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? They're going to stick around, but the 40 to 60 Division I, Power 5 football programs, they're going to break away from the NCAA.
Yeah.
They're going to create their own All-American football conference. And guess who the commissioner is going to be, Peter? Go ahead, take a shot.
I have no idea.
Nick Saban.
Oh, my gosh. That would be...
Hey, would you like to sit across the table from Nick Saban when you're negotiating a contract? I wouldn't.
Wow.
So, yeah, this is a perfect fit for football to get out, because right now, why share the money with the NCAA? You don't need them. You can negotiate right with the network.
Good stuff there from Leo Haggerty. So we'll see how that plays out. An update here from J.C. Allen, friend of the show there from Sports Illustrated, doing his Pirate Parlay podcast. He had Todd Bowles on. I guess he had Todd Bowles on because he had an update on this. He said that Bowles said we have not had any conversations. I expect him to be here, but we'll see with Randy Gregory. What do you make of this situation? Do you think Gregory shows up for training camp, or once again, is this a guy that off the field overshadows on the field, which, by the way, he's supremely talented, but that's never been the question mark. It's always been off the field, right?
Yeah, you know what, Peter? There may be a family situation that they don't want to reveal, and that's fine. I just want to see if he shows up for training camp. You know what, Peter? OTAs, as Lovie Smith used to say, it's underwear football. Doesn't matter.
Right.
You know what? It's just getting out there, getting used to. It's getting those draft picks. It's getting those new guys to create a little camaraderie. Come July, he's not there, then you start to show some concern. Hey, I expect him to be there.
Well, we'll see next week, my friend. And we also found out that the Creamsicle game is going to be October 27th versus the Atlanta Falcons, and then the all red, which they want fans to wear all red that day. Most likely the Bucs are going to wear red uniforms. I know a lot of fans love that. In December versus the Raiders. What do you think of the Creamsicle? And my question is, are they going to have the Creamsicle Pops there at Raymond James like they did last year? Because, damn, they were good.
Why wouldn't they, Peter? Hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Yes, exactly. It's like the Bananas Foster at halftime, my friend. We're always talking about food on this show.
Leo, hey, Peter, I'll talk to Seneca, see if we can get him on during the season. How's that?
Sounds good, and we definitely need to get on Jaws again because we got lots to talk about. And any of your other guests that you got in that black book, bring them on the evolution of sports talk television because you know I got questions, you got questions, and, of course, the webheads got questions. Once again, Leo, go ahead and promote yourself here on the Evolution.
Yeah, go to Amped Up Sports, either on YouTube. And Peter, you see, we just created a brand new site.
Yes.
Which is phenomenal. Trace Crisp has done a great job with that. And it's going to jump. It's going to skyrocket. But finally, I'll be back in Tampa next Wednesday. Hopefully this hoarse throat will be cured a little bit. But, hey, I've been gone since June 22nd, so it's time to come home.
It is time to come home, my friend. Get some tea and honey, and we'll see you back here in Tampa. Appreciate the time here on The Evolution. All right, my friend?
Take care, brother. Have a good show.
All right, safe travels. Take care. Great stuff, and that's why you got to tune in. I continue to tell you, like, some of this stuff sometimes is not planned. I had no idea that Seneca Wallace was going to be on this show. No idea. But that's what happens. You just run with it. Right? You got the Jake Paul fight tomorrow. I don't know if you guys are Jake Paul fans. We're going to try to cover that. We're going to be live at the scene of the crime on Amalie Arena. Not only tomorrow at 2 o'clock, but on Saturday night, thanks to Most Valuable So we're here, man. And stay tuned to next week. Because you know what I do and you know what I bring. And if they give me the opportunity to be out of Bucs training camp, we'll be there. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. How about that tease, huh? You like that? All right. Let's see here. Let's go out to Christopher Cole. OT depth worries me. Absolutely. We talked about that today. You could definitely get into that. I think the Bucs will be a better team, but I don't think they make the playoffs. Wow, the schedule is just brutal. Bucs don't play well against the best teams. You know, that's in the middle of the season. It's a good point. We'll see. They were 4-7, and they went on that run and went eventually 9-8. Let's go ahead and get Mr. This guy on here. I got to play his intro. He's finally on here, so I can play his friggin' intro. So here we go.
Mr. Kennedy!
There you go. Ray Kennedy. Lots of thought in that. Let's go out to the phone lines here as we're producing on air. I know you want to intro yourself, but I want to get out to some callers. So welcome to The Evolution. What's your name? Where you're calling from? You're on with yours truly.
You got the one and only Frankie from Wisconsin, but I popped in right when good old Mr. Kennedy was Kennedy!
There you go. All right, Frankie. So what's on your mind tonight, boss?
Dude, I just want to say.
Hold on. Go ahead, Frankie. I can't hear you. Hold on a sec. Frankie, you there? Hold on. I think we got some problems there. Frankie, are you there?
For me.
All right, there you are. All right, go ahead.
All right, yeah. No, I'll be coming in for Turnbuckle Talk. You know I will. But as far as the creamsicle orange jerseys go, dude, you know me. I like my throwbacks. I love my throwbacks.
So you're excited about the creamsicle game versus the Atlanta Falcons?
I'm very excited about it, but
okay.
There is statistical view.
They haven't been good. That's for sure.
Yeah, we're not good wearing those jerseys.
No, you're not. You're exactly right about that.
We're not good. No. I mean, dude, us fans, we love them, but dude, whenever we put them on, we suck.
Well, I mean, it goes back to last year, Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy. I look at you as a historian of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and of this show. It has not been very kind to the Bucs being in that creamsicle. So what do you say today, revealed by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? It's going to be against the Atlanta Falcons on October 27th. Your thoughts, Ray? Welcome to The Evolution.
Thank you, brother. You know, I'm all about the fact. So you go back to the creamsicles, and just the fact that we still call them the creamsicles. That was the moniker given the worst uniform in the league, the winking pirate. They were so passe. Everybody was like, but you put Hardy Nickerson in those uniforms, and all of a sudden that winking pirate was starting to put concussions left and right. And of course, it rolled into, and then we got the uniform changes. Last year, we walked into a buzzsaw on the Detroit Lions, and then I'm watching The Receiver this week on Netflix. We still almost in a moment had that. The game was never really ours last year at Detroit in week 2 after the victory over the Eagles. I know I'm waxing off of the throwbacks, but we ran into Detroit week 6 last year, and they came in like a buzzsaw, and they were a team couldn't be tied. You go back to the last time we wore them in Levante David's rookie year in 2012. It was Josh Freeman at quarterback, and we were still trying to find her from a hole in the ground. So I get what Frankie's saying as far as historical, but I still want to see them week 8 versus those Atlanta Falcons, and I want to see us because we're going to win this division for the 4th consecutive year.
And I believe Josh Freeman and the Bucs at the time did beat the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers, so it was good luck back then, but it hasn't necessarily once again it hasn't led to a lot of wins.
It's not a large sample size. It's one game like last year. But.
Yeah. Well, it hasn't worked out in their favor with those uniforms. And there's people that feel a certain way about it, and I get that. I feel this a certain way about it too, but it's always nice to have that little throwback. And then once again, the highlight for me, being in the press box as I eat my daily, my 3 to 4 plates there, you get some creamsicle, ice cream, and hopefully Tampa Bay Ray, you get to experience that this year, my friend. We're going to work on that to get you out there and get you into the press box. All right, Frank, what do you got? At least
we don't have the ticking time bomb alarm clock jerseys anymore.
Those are the worst uniforms.
This guy sucks.
Of all time. I'm sorry. I got a jersey. They are terrible. They should be burned. I was
like, who came up with these? Like, who thought this was a good idea?
Nike did.
Hey, can I ask you guys a question? Truth. Frankie, I mean, maybe you don't have one. Maybe Pete, I don't know if you have one, but we had to get, it's 2020. We had to get the Tom Brady pewter number 12, and it's always going to be the Tom Brady number 12. But after Tom retires 2 years ago, it's how fast that got moved to the back of the closet, and Baker Mayfield got put out front there. And it's not just because you're a front runner fan, but the truth of the matter is, for as much of an iconic thing as was wearing that Tom Brady jersey, it's like, okay, time and place. It was great. Championship. We did it. Greatest of all time. Baker's our guy locked in. It's not Neil O'Donoghue number 6 anymore. It's Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, it's right. He's completely
Ray,
correct about that. Yes.
As well as Peter knows that when the jerseys were coming out, I did not want a Tom Brady pewter 12. No, sirree, Bob. I wanted me a Mike Evans pewter 12 because Mike Evans is my guy. I was not a Brady fan, not until the Super Bowl came. Then I was just like, yeah, this is the real guy. Okay. I believe this man never cheated. I honestly believe once we got to the Super Bowl, I believed in Tom Brady. I believe in Joe Henry. Sorry, I had to put that out there.
Yeah, I know you believe in Joe Henry. I get that. I seen the reels. Great stuff there. Mr. Wrestling fan, the Hill Mark. I know you'll be back here. Anything else? Also, the Red game, which, again, they encourage. And I know there's a lot of fans out there disappointed because the first game versus the Commanders, once again, the Bucs are wearing white on white there. What do you think about the white uniforms? Should they wear the red more? The reason why they don't wear the red is because of the heat. But you got an all red game there, red out as they encourage fans to wear red versus the Raiders. What do you think about that, Frankie?
The one thing I don't like about the all white is I don't know, man. It's just like when you get in that mud, it's like, dude, wait a minute. You can see it's just like, I don't know, man. Just something about all white to me just looks, I like it when they wear the white with the pewter pants.
Right.
The pewter pants with the white jerseys, I can get behind that. But all white, it's too much white.
Well, I think they're going to wear the pewter. Are they going to wear the pewter pants? I think they're wearing the pewter pants versus the Commanders, but we'll see. But they've worn all white before. They've worn the white jersey before, to the chagrin of a lot of fans.
I know they wear all white, but I'm just saying I like when they wear the white jersey with the pewter pants because otherwise it's just too much white for me.
Too much. Can I ask a question though? The December 8th game versus the Oakland versus the Vegas Raiders, the red out game. Please, two things. First of all, tell me we're not wearing the red on red like the rush when we played against the Rams when it was a ketchup mustard game, right?
No, I don't think it's that. It's going to be red and pewter, which it should be that night. Again, they're encouraging fans to wear red that night, which still fans wear red.
Glad that we don't have 1,000,001 different jerseys like the MLB, okay?
Well,
because then you'd be like, holy shit, I got to have a camo jersey for Memorial Day. Oh, look, we got this jersey for the 4th of July. Oh my gosh. You know what I mean? I mean, just be glad that we don't have 1,000,001 jerseys for the NFL.
Yep, that's very true.
That would just be nuts, man. My bank account would go bleeding dry.
It would be, my friend, and it would absolutely. All right, Frankie, thanks a lot for the call. Appreciate you as always.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, man. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Always welcome. Open phone line 727-255 0391. It's 727-255-0391. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Best of the Bay, Mr. Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy. Tim, again, Tampa Bay Ray, like that. William says, looking forward to seeing the rookies in the camp. William, what rookies are you looking forward to seeing in the camp? I'm looking forward to seeing the offensive line, especially Graham Barton. What about you, Tampa Bay Ray? Who are you looking forward to seeing when it comes to the rookies?
It's the offensive line, not just with Graham Barton at center, but the fact that, again, you go back to a couple of years ago when Allie retired and, Stinney, and we're trying to figure out what's going on, and guys were thrown into the fire with Tom Brady at quarterback. So you talk about having to grow up fast. There's 2 Tom Brady references that we're still milking that cow years later. But now you got a Gadecki, now you got Hainsey, now you're going to start having, and I understand what Christopher Cole, I think, said was it's the offensive line depth. Always going to be the offensive line depth. You can't have enough horses up front there, but this offensive line, it's going to take a second, especially in the new offense with Liam Cohen and a movement like Leo, the legend, was talking about. But the offensive line, I've said it already, I really believe that this offensive line this year has the potential to be one of the top 3, if not top units in the entire National Football Conference, which would hopefully help our chances or increase our chances or likelihood of not only winning that 4th division title, but getting beyond just the second week of the divisional round this year and going for that NFC championship game. That's where I'm looking. And, Leo was talking about the movement with Clint Kubiak now down there with Dennis Allen and the Raheem now with the offensive court. He was the quarterback coach in LA under Liam Cohen. And then what do you got going on there in Carolina with Dave Canales? The fact is that all that pre-snap movement that Leo's talking about, that's what Todd Bowles, that's the magician. That's Todd Bowles' defense is known for pre-snap movement. So as much as your offenses, especially even in the South, are going to do pre-snaps, trying to get reads, trying to figure out open lanes, this defense is going to move around. And we still have the best veteran defense led, best talented, most horses on defense, which again, really makes me excited. I think 13-4, Peter, 12-5. I know you didn't ask, but I'm telling you. And for me, it's going to hinge on that going out or playing against the 49ers. That's going to be a big game, because they've had our number. They had it with Tom here. I don't think they have our number this year. I think this year we get them. We win that game. I'm looking at 13-4.
I want to play something for you because I didn't get a chance to play it on this show. I played it on, I believe I played it on JP's show, and it was a soundbite from Mad Dog Chris Russo, who was on the Loose Cannons Locked In podcast. And this was his thoughts about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2024. Along with Baker Mayfield. Listen closely here on The Evolution. Here we go.
Listen, I think you have a very good chance to be in the postseason again. That division isn't a very good division. Carolina, we know, spotty, won 1 game last year. Derek Carr, we don't love. Atlanta will be better, with Cousins there. And, Atlanta will be a much better team. So I don't worry about the quarterback issue with Penix there at all. So the Falcons, I think, will be your biggest competitor. But I don't think Tampa is close to winning the NFC. I think the Lions are better. I think San Francisco obviously is better. Dallas is probably better. The Eagles, probably a lot better. But I think the Bucs are a playoff team. I don't know if they are a deep running playoff team where you're going to see them, win a couple postseason games. But in that division where they go 9-8 last year, I would think it'd be a little better division this year. You figure Carolina be a little improved, Atlanta much improved, the Saints, 9-8 might have to win 10 games. But a very competitive team. Mayfield's a good competitive player, not great, but he's he gets the most out of his ability. He had a big year last year. They won a playoff game. They gave Detroit a good run in that second round up in Detroit. And I think the Bucs would be a factor. I just don't think they're not a Super Bowl team, to make a long story short.
Chris, you say they're not a deep playoff run team. So curious, what are they missing in your eyes from putting them up in that top echelon?
When you think about deep run playoff teams, the first thing you got to have a big-time quarterback. Mahomes is a big-time quarterback. Josh Allen's a big-time quarterback. Rodgers was a big-time quarterback. I know that, Purdy really isn't, but the system there is tremendous with Hall of Famers all over the place. Stafford's a big quarterback. Goff is becoming a big quarterback. Hurts played in the Super Bowl. The quarterback, Mayfield is not a top 10 quarterback in the league. And, to win big in postseason play without a top 10 quarterback, that's hard to do because the rest of the team has to be tremendous. And the Bucs are pretty good. They got good receivers. He's done a good job. He's done a good job as the head coach. They lose their offensive coordinator, but he's done a good job as a head coach. They'll always be competitive defensively, but they are not a great team. And the Bucs are fortunate they're in that division, which also doesn't have a great quarterback, which is a big factor. But, when you think about the QBs in football, you probably put them right about 12. Hard to win a Super Bowl with the 12th best quarterback in football. I mean, you can't put him ahead of Rodgers if he's healthy, or Mahomes, or Lamar Jackson, or Josh Allen, or Stafford, or, you can't put him ahead of Hurts. I don't love Prescott, but you probably can't put him ahead of him either. Goff's been to a Super Bowl and been to an NFC Championship game. He's not as good as him. He's probably not as good as Jordan Love. So when you get
Jordan Love,
Herbert. So you're talking about the 12th best player at the position, and that's the game's most important position.
All right, that's what I'm talking about right there. The national disrespect from the national media. The Bucs are not a great team, even though they beat the team that you said was better than them in the Philadelphia Eagles. 32-9.
And I'm not comparing the Bucs defense to the 2000 Ravens, but what was Trent Dilfer on the list of quarterbacks the year the Ravens won a Super Bowl? Let's be honest, 32 teams. I think Trent was about 27th. No disrespect to Trent. I love you, Trent. Good luck at UAB. I almost gave him credit. At least he did his homework better than the national media last year that said the Bucs would be 2-15 and going for Caleb Williams. I like Mad Dog. I really do. Some people say he's hard to listen to, but when he starts going on and on about the whole, we don't like Derek Carr, and now they got Kirk Cousins, and Baker's not a great quarterback. First of all, a quarterback, there are great quarterbacks, but also a lot of your better quarterbacks, they're surrounded by a great team. The Buccaneers have a great team. Besides injuries, beside what goes on, what happens between now and camp, whether Randy Gregory's here. I give Mad Dog credit for at least getting it about right. He kind of hit the marks there, but then when he starts trying to say because Baker's not a dog and Bucs don't have a chance, it's like, well, bro, the NFL wouldn't be as successful as it is and as romantic of a league as it is if it wasn't for Cinderella stories. The Bucs aren't a Cinderella story, but they've got all the tools that they could be there championship weekend and/or in 58 or 9.
All right, let's go back out to the phone lines here. Is this Frankie?
Yeah.
All right. You're using your second call. I guess I'll give you a third call tonight for Turnbuckle Talk.
I was going to save my call for Turnbuckle Talk.
Yeah.
But after hearing that nonsense,
you're ready? Are you just ready to hate on Chris Russo there, Mad Dog?
My God! First, dude, Jordan Love,
yes.
Oh my God,
yes,
dude. First off, guy, whatever you're smoking, please send it over here. It's the Heel Mark, PHA Heel Mark. You can find me on Instagram. I will gladly accept anything. Dude, I don't know what this guy is on, but I definitely want some because Jordan Love better than Baker Mayfield?
Dak Prescott, by the way, better than Baker Mayfield, maybe during the regular season, but the postseason, how many playoff games has he won? I think one against Tampa Bay. That's about it at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Yeah, I had to play that sound. Yes.
I made some comments on Instagram when you were talking about the rookies, but I noticed you don't.
Well, I try to. Sounds really odd, but I'm really interested to see what Bucky Irving might do. Otherwise, I'm really anxious to see Barton. Why Bucky Irving, in your opinion?
I don't know. It's just the running backs we have. They're like, I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this.
Go for it.
There's just something about it. It's just something I don't know.
You don't like what you have there in Whites? You think that there's going to be...
I don't know. I think there's something missing. You know what I mean?
All right.
But then again, you can smack me in the face because y'all were there when I said Rojo is the shit. Right. And Rojo is going to lead us to the promised land. And where was I with that one?
Well,
victim of volume.
The victim of volume, and I feel like if he doesn't get hurt, then maybe it's a different game plan. But of course, Leonard Fournette took off after that. Lombardi Lenny over 300 yards of rushing, and that's the reason why the Bucs went on to win the Super Bowl, among other reasons, not only Tom Brady, the running game, but also the defense in itself. All right, Frankie, thanks a lot.
That phone call.
You got another phone call on Turnbuckle Talk, my friend. So
but that interview you played, I was just like, are you serious?
Yeah, I played it, and that's in care of Loose Cannons there. We got to get the Loose Cannons on. Sammer and Stank Bastard, that's his name there. And, of course, Poppy Latte. We got to get those guys on. They do great work. And, of course, our guy, JC Allen.
Ray, I love you, man. I just had to say that too. Ray, you are freaking awesome. I love it whenever you're on here, dude. I really do.
We try to get him on as much as we can, and I got to remind him he doesn't have to be the man on the street all the time. He can just stay home. Look at this shot and listen to the sound, how it sounds good. It looks good. I'm not annoyed by it. You can
be the guy that just sits at the picnic table drinking your coffee by the lake. I don't care. Ray, you have a face, you have a voice, and you have the energy.
He's the songbird of the generation.
I love hearing your passion behind what you talk about.
Just say it, man. It's like Fergie and Jesus combined there. He's the songbird of our generation. He is the wind beneath your wings and everybody else here in Bucs Nation. Just say it.
When the two of you guys talk about Buccaneer football, it reminds me of how when I talk about wrestling. I'm dead serious.
All right, man. Well, that's good.
All right, and I will see you guys at Turnbuckle Talk.
All right. We'll try to get Ray on Turnbuckle Talk too one of these days.
You better stay, Ray.
I love her. Love it. Good stuff there. Appreciate you, as always. Let's go out to William Romer. Thank you, William, for tuning in. Always welcome here on the Evolution. I want to see McMillan take the third receiver role. I'm hoping Barton will be better than Hansey, and we need Braswell to be really good. Completely agree with all that. Although, I think the guy that everybody needs to look at besides McMillan, because I'm excited about him too, as well as a lot of the rookies, and Braswell could be definitely big for this team, especially with Joe Tryon-Shoyinka and the lack thereof when it comes to production. Trey Palmer, everybody's forgetting him. He showed flashes of brilliance last year, and he's second year into this offense. You got to be excited about him. What do you say, McMillan, Barton, Braswell? I think everybody should be excited about it. He's not a rookie, second-year player, Trey Palmer.
I think it's a great thing that we have a team. You could talk records and playoffs, but just we have a team playoffs. We have just a team that, I always go back, Peter, you and I, that Saturday morning, you called me at like 6:45 in the morning. It's like, hey, they're going to redo Jason Light's contract today because part of the agreement with Bruce Arians was he's going to get the matching to end the 5-year, Arians was signing. And you're like, we got to make an argument for this guy because people were still on the fence. Jason Light hadn't done a whole lot. Jameis was kind of washing out. What are we doing with this general manager? But the kind of team we have in 2024 and the kind of team we've had basically for the last half decade, maybe even longer. It's just bringing in more talent, putting them with the veterans we have, the talent that Jason Light's put in place. There's 32 teams every year competing for that one prize. That's the game. That's the jazz. That's where it's at. Only one's going to get it. But the fact that we have a team that every year in and year out, the national media, Mad Dog might not agree, but Bucs fans can look at this. JC can look at this and say, okay, here's your pieces. Boom, 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 and boom. We need to get better here. Boom, 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 and boom. We need to watch out for depth here. Boom, boom, boom. But at the end of the day, we have a team that can compete. And that's what's so exciting.
Well, Mr. Big Time here, who started out on the sports web during the draft a couple years ago, now part of Sports Illustrated, and now the Pirate Parlay podcast with getting Bucs players on, getting Todd Bowles on. Mr. JC Allen, welcome to the Evolution. What's on your mind tonight?
What's up, fellas? How we doing?
Hey, man. Long time no here. Hopefully we can get you on the sports web. You're always welcome here to see your smiling face, and I know you've been busy lately. Tell us what's going on here. Todd Bowles on the Pirate Parlay.
Just trying to, give the best Bucs content I can out there. It was a great interview. If you guys haven't watched it, definitely go check it out.
We'll do.
Talked about the competitions going on. Talked about, Baker Mayfield. Gave an update on Randy Gregory and Tristan Wirfs. A lot of fun stuff. But I actually called, and I can get into that after, but I actually called because I have a junior reporter here with me who actually interviewed Rachaad White at his Bucs at his youth mini camp the other day.
Really?
And he wanted to share with you what Rashad had to say.
Okay. Who are we speaking to now?
We've got Ken Allen.
Oh, it runs in the family. I love it. I knew
Hi.
this. Hi, Cannon. How you doing, buddy? Welcome to the
Cannon.
Edison.
So when I asked him why did you start the camp, he said because he wanted to give back to the community.
Okay.
And I also asked him. I also asked him how he thought it was going.
Okay. And then what did he say?
He said he wanted to give hope to the parents and kids.
Oh, that's great, man. And you're definitely a chip off the old block there, the old man. Your father who's doing great work. You're doing great work there, my friend. So good stuff. Thank you for the update here.
And Ken, you're playing some football now too. You've been doing really well with that. How's that been going? What's been your favorite thing about playing football now that you're really balling?
You look mean out there, man. You don't look like that same little kid that I met a couple years ago. What's happening here? You're getting younger and I'm getting older. What's going on, Cannon?
So I've been having perfect snaps so far.
Okay.
I'm playing center this year.
You're playing center, so you're trying to be the next Graham Barton or Ryan Jensen, huh?
Yeah.
All right, there you go. Good stuff. All right, well, good luck. We're going to have to definitely get out there and see what you're doing. It's good to talk to you again, my friend, and just keep on doing what you're doing, all right?
All right.
All right, good stuff.
Take care, Cannon. God, I love that kid.
Okay,
Take care.
Yes, absolutely. Always welcome, my friend, here on the Sports Web. I know he goes all the way back when we were dealing with the pandemic, and he was watching and commenting. That kid is a chip off the old block there, my friend. That's good stuff, JC. Appreciate that. That's amazing. Yeah. You did good, my friend. You corrupted. That's what you do, guys. When you're a father, especially a father with your kids, you got to corrupt them while they're young in a good way. You got to make them Bucs fans. You got to make them Rays fans. You got to make them Lightning fans. And you got to make them broadcasters and reporters like the old man is. With that being said, JC, what did you learn from Todd Bowles? We heard about the Randy Gregory stuff. I mean, how do you think this is going to play out? And what did you get from Bowles from this interview? Is it going to play out in your opinion?
Well, the thing that really stood out to me, and I wrote about it, was he hasn't talked to Randy Gregory. And I don't know about you, but if I'm going to not sign, be in the facility, but then not show up for all of OTAs, which are, again, voluntary, it doesn't need to be there, but then skip mandatory minicamp, it's like calling out, not even calling out, no call, no show from work for 3 days, and then not even giving your boss a heads up when you got to be at work a couple other days, I
mean, I love to do that on this show. I love to call out of my sales job a couple of times or no call, no show. But guess what? I would be completely
screw you. You're fired.
Exactly.
So it's like that kind of stood out to me that he's had no conversations with him. And I mean, that doesn't mean that, nobody else has, maybe he's talked to George Edwards or maybe he's talked to, but that should have been communicated to Bowles at some point where maybe, I didn't have conversations, but he just said, we'll see if he shows up pretty much. And to me, that's crazy, especially in such a loaded room. It's not like they're relying on Randy Gregory. Yeah, would it be nice if, to have that veteran presence behind some of the, because there's a lot of young guys on the team. Would it be nice to, have him there and, kind of be a mentor and whatnot? Sure. But I mean, it's not like his production's been off the charts. He's been suspended twice. He's in a lawsuit with the league and the Broncos. He's not in a position of power. He's on a cheap deal. And the team really likes what they saw in Jose Ramirez and Marquise Watts last year and drafted Chris Braswell in the second round. So for him to not show up and then not communicate is just wild to me. And, I thought that was really interesting. Same thing with Tristan Wirfs, That's the story no one's talking about is Tristan Wirfs and his contract. He held in throughout OTAs and mandatory minicamp. He wasn't there. I mean, he wasn't practicing. He was there, sure, doing all the classroom work, sure, but he's not on the field. And you can only do so much when learning a new offense, with playing with a new left guard, with possibly playing with a new center, that, you just kind of hope that everything gets worked out. And I think because Tristan Wirfs is such a stand-up guy, likable guy, we think that, even if he doesn't have a contract, he'll show up and he'll play, right? Why wouldn't he play, right?
Well, I mean, does that get in your opinion, does that get resolved before training camp? Because of course I had the question, you were there, you were laughing about it. I think Baker was laughing about it. Jason had a good laugh. If you get all these deals done, that you have a boat parade. When we having that boat parade, JC, with
you're not going to have enough time with training camp coming up here if they don't get something done soon. And you look at it, he's supposed to report next Wednesday. So really they have a week to get this done, to the point where it's either like is he going to hold in, or does he just cave his stance? If I'm his agent, I'm talking to him and I'm saying, you saw this firsthand. You saw this firsthand with Ryan Jensen. The first day of training camp, he went down and now has a career-ending injury. Do you want to put yourself at risk like that without a contract, knowing that you've got $18.5 million guaranteed, $18.2 million guaranteed? Is that enough for you if you suffer a career-ending or a season-ending injury, and now you're going to the market coming off a torn ACL or whatever, even worse, or something like that? Like, if I'm his agent, I'm telling him, look, and I know you love the team. I know you love you guys. I know you want to be out there. But unless you get a new deal, man, like, you gotta continue this hold and at least put the pressure on them a little bit and make them feel it.
Ray, I know you got some questions for JC. Go ahead. Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy on here with JC Allen of Sports Illustrated. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Go ahead, Ray.
No, I think JC made a great point because, of course, the Bucs optioned his 5th year on Tristan last year, and he gets the 18.25 in 2024. And not just to Ryan Jensen with the injury, a half an hour into camp with the slight little just turn, and of course, you're going to see the Bucs this year. The defense of all the positions on this defense, other than KJ Britt at middle and Devin gone or what have you, you're going to see those outside linebackers or those down linebackers coming up, and those guys are going to be trying to make this team. So they're pretty much, Tristan's going to be seeing a pretty good amount of youngness out there at the ends. They're trying to make the team, trying to make a name for themselves. I think JC makes a great point, but did Coach Bowles seem like that's where the Bucs are going? We're going to try to get this deal done for sure. He's going to sit in, or is the team pretty much just there's a chance we're going to have to let him play on that 5th year this year and just go back to the table in 2025?
I mean, he pretty much said he's optimistic things will get done, but I mean, again, he's not the one that makes that call. That's all, the front office and, Jason Light. He's got to get that stuff squared away, and he's going to coach the players are there. That's his job as a coach. So, it will be interesting. I think it's something that a lot of people aren't talking about right now. But I mean, there is that potential that we show up next Wednesday and, he is not on the field practicing, Bowles pretty much said he understands the business side. He's played. He understands that. But, hopefully that situation will resolve itself sooner than later. And now I don't know if that means, there's something in the works or he's just hopeful.
Well, JC, can I ask you a question? Your stomach, because you're in the room. You're our guy. You're the one that got over the wall. You made good, and I love everything you're doing. Can't wait to check out the Todd Bowles interview. I haven't had a chance to yet, but Baker had the baby this offseason. Tristan had the baby. We saw the picture of the two dads there, Baker and Tristan. Baker made it a point the moment he got here last season to go out there and meet at Tristan Wirfs. Probably a good idea for the quarterback, a right-handed quarterback, to meet your left tackle. In our case, it just happens to be just a complete dog there at left tackle. Your stomach feeling, do you really think there's any way that Tristan Wirfs even tries to hold out? I know it comes down to being a business, but don't you think this deal ends up getting done? Or could this be that first, the negotiating thing, the first little bump in the road that Jason Light and the regime are starting to have now, is you're going to have to pay these veterans that you want to keep in this team moving forward?
Well, I mean, Jason and the organization has a history of letting guys play their final year out of their contract. You look at Mike Evans, Antoine Winfield Jr., Carlton Davis, Jamel Dean, Levante David. The list goes down along the line of guys who they said, hey, you got to finish out your 5th year or finish out your current deal or your 4th year, and then we'll get to you. But with a guy like Tristan, I don't think you need to do that. I mean, he's proven himself to be an all-pro and Pro Bowl caliber player. Moved to the left side, did that for you when he, really didn't want to, was having mental health issues, talked very open about that last year, about whether he's going to be good enough, and that kind of really drained on him last year. I think that this is a guy that you reward this year. Now, my gut tells me, it's gurgling, but it's not giving me a clear answer. I can definitely see them coming to some sort of agreement within next week. And again, the longer you wait, the more the market's going to go up. You know, you don't think someone's in the top 10 of Sewell's money? Of course they are. But at the same time, I can see a situation where he doesn't hold out. I think he'll be there. He'll be in the sidelines, you know, he'll be in the meeting rooms, but it'll be a same situation of what he was just doing this past offseason. And that's holding in and being there and saying, hey, I'm not going to practice, but I'll be here for everything else until I have some sort of resolution to my deal.
Good stuff here from JC Allen of Sports Illustrated. We appreciate the time. We've been asking fans tonight, you know, what rookie are you looking forward to? We've heard different responses, and Braswell and Graham Barton is my guy here, Bucky Irving. Again, McMillan, you know, who would you be looking forward to? Because you've been out there. Who are you looking forward to seeing as a rookie at this point? And who do you think makes the most impact for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2024?
I think the question and the answer is the same for me. I think it's Graham Barton, just because you put such a high draft pick in there, and you know, centers have been really safe over the past, you know, years have been taken in the first round. Then you look back to Frank Ragnow as one of those guys, and there's a couple other ones that have been drafted that I think you look to them and really because we haven't seen Graham Barton in nothing but shorts and shells. You know, I want to see what this guy looks like in pads. You can get a sense of what Bucky Irving's athleticism is, and Devin Culp and Jalen McMillan and Tyke Smith. You can kind of get a sense of, you know, Chris Braswell, his power, you know, when he's hitting the bag, and kind of, you know, his bend and his speed to get around the edge. You really can't get a feel for Graham Barton except for his, you know, get off the snap, and which is very impressive. But I really want to see what he can do when the pads come on, and when he's going up against guys like Vita Bay and Claude see down after down, and see how he handles that, and see if this is a guy who, because I still maintain, I think, until I see it in pads coming into training camp, I think the best five is probably with Barton at left guard for the year and Hainsey at center. That could be swayed and change my mind once I see Bredesen or Stuart Opeta and Graham Barton at center, and kind of see how these guys operate. But again, you know, there's a bunch of guys. You know, Jalen McMillan has looked great in shorts and t-shirts, but so did Jalen Darden. What does he look like in pads? You know,
right.
Bucky Irving is known for making guys miss. You know, making guys miss in tackles. Let's see that in pads. You know, Tyke Smith has made would-be sacks and interceptions and big plays, and you know, what does that look like in pads? So I think, you know, the rookies as a whole, getting them in pads is going to be a lot of fun to watch. But to answer the question, I think Graham Barton is the one that most people are looking forward to, especially because you can't really get a look at guys that are in shorts and t-shirts that play on the offensive line.
I also want to throw this out there. Adam Rank of NFL Network put out his predictions. He has the Bucs at 6-11 and the Bears at 12-5.
Jesus.
Adam Rank's a Bears fan. I won't talk too badly about him because he is
12-5
podcast. He's part of the Sick Podcast Network, so he's, you know, we've got sister shows over there, but
you need to get this guy right. What is he looking at? I mean, it's
I don't know. I told him, I messaged him the other day because he said he's got Bucky Irving passing Rachaad White by the middle of the season. I'm like, bro, like before you put these out, don't you want to check into one of your constituents over here? Because I'll set you right, man.
Get him.
No, I
think
he's
JC.
way off.
Get him.
I think he's way off base. You know, I'll tell him that. You know, I've told him I don't think he's anywhere in the ballpark. I think the Bucs are more possible to get 12 wins. I think their floor is probably around seven wins. But 12 wins, I think, is something they could accomplish depending on how everything comes together. Again, remember, we're dealing with a new offensive coordinator, some, you know, new pieces on the defense, new pieces on the offense, guys stepping into premier roles that have, you know, only had half a season or a couple games experience in those.
Fair enough.
So those things all have to come together and gel. I do think with the offense, with Baker being in it before, with it being similar, there's some carryover, some continuity, maybe not in terminology, but kind of base concepts of what they're doing. And of course, you know, Cohen's not a first-time play caller, so he's not going to have as many bumps and hiccups as Dave might have had last year. I think they're, you know, 12 wins is certainly something that they can achieve. if everything's clicking. But, I'm still working on my prediction there. I think I've got them around 10, 11 wins right now. Could bump it up to 12.
Smart man, because I said 11. I said
11-6
when that schedule was released. I said 10 last year. It was only one off. So let's see if I can get it right this year. And, of course, the middle of the season, the gauntlet. One final question. I'll get you back because, again, I appreciate your time. The Creamsicle game. It was announced today against the Atlanta Falcons on October 27th. How do you feel about those Creamsicle uniforms? And how do you like those Creamsicle ice creams they were giving away last year at Raymond James?
Not a big fan of the Creamsicle ice cream. I'll tell you that. I don't like the orange and the cream together.
Okay.
Not a big fan of that. But the Creamsicle jerseys I like. Again, not a Bucs fan, so I didn't have to go through the painful years that you guys had to watching and wearing those. It bring back haunting memories. But I like the Bucko Bruce. I like the Creamsicles. I think they're one of the most iconic jerseys in the game, right up there with the old school Seahawks, the old school Oilers. I think those are probably some of my favorite old school jerseys. Obviously, Pat Patriots. I'm a fan of that one too. But against the Falcons, I guess it kind of makes sense. They're doing the red out against the Raiders. That makes a lot of sense. All white against Washington, which makes a ton of sense. As a home game, put them in those dark red uniforms for sure. But yeah, excited to see what else they do. Hopefully we get that pewter combination back as well.
Yeah,
because I love that all pewter.
I do too. I do too. JC, man, keep on doing what you're doing here. We're definitely going to get you on the Sports Web more and more, and I promise it's going to be more 2 days a week than 1 day, and of course it's going to be 3 days a week and all kinds of shows here. So always welcome, JC. Go ahead and promote yourself here on the Sports Web.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys can follow me over at Twitter X at JC Allen NFL. That's where I do most of my stuff. So your one-stop shop for anything Bucs, whether it's something. I got some tweets from the Bucs on there. I got some tweets from PFF, my own thoughts. I've got obviously promoting my work, my articles and stuff like that over at Bucs Game Day. My podcast, the Sick Podcast, Pirate Parlay on the Sick Podcast Network. Go check that out. For some reason, guys, I'm struggling here to gain subs. I don't know how. It's just every other show is just a player or a starter or a coach. Tomorrow.
Who do you got coming on tomorrow?
Liam Cohen will be on tomorrow, so look for that to drop around 2 p.m.
I need some love here, man. I need to talk about getting some players and some coaches on this show. I'm just saying.
Well, let me say though, let me tell anyone out there, if you're listening right now and you have not seen JC or heard JC, take it from me. There's not a harder working individual in the business, but there's also not a more knowledgeable individual in the business. But I'm just going to go ahead and I'm putting my poker in the fire now. I want Cannon on Cup of Ray. You tell Cannon I want to bring him on Cup of Ray. That's my interview for one of these days coming up real soon, JC.
Well, first he's from the tree of the Sports Web and the tree of Peter. I'm just going to put that out there as well. JC, Ray, of course, Harry, all from this great tree. You're doing great work, my friend. I'm so proud of you. Continue to do that, and we'll continue to get you here on the Evolution, all right?
Absolutely. We got Roman coming back at SummerSlam or what? What do you think?
I think we're going to – I know we're Turnbuckle talking, Ralph. I know you're about to get on here, so just stand by because I got to talk to Ray about the Ray situation, and then we'll get him out of here, and we'll talk wrestling. I think it's going to happen. I love the storyline here that's happened with them turning on Paul Heyman and then absolutely destroying Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. I think we're going to have a civil war here, Ray. I know you don't watch wrestling. You need to. With Roman Reigns and the Usos against the new bloodline. And eventually what you guys are going to find out is the tribal chief is not Solo. It is actually the final boss, The Rock.
I think if we see him come out or whatnot, that saves Solo and doesn't give him like a clean loss or something like that.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm interested. I can't wait for SummerSlam. Already some banger matches. My boy, going to win the U.S. title.
Yeah.
All right, I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, man, good stuff there. He's talking wrestling. He's talking Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Finally, let's go ahead and wrap it up. You saw the article today. You told me you thought AI wrote that. I told you, yes, I can somewhat write. I do have an opinion about this. First and foremost, what did you think of the article? And then second, what do you think about this Rays vote tomorrow? Is it going to go through? Again, let me just preface this. I hope it goes through. I want to see baseball stay in the Tampa Bay area, but I also want the Tampa Bay fan to stand on something and create the Tampa Bay fan sports agreement, where they hold the Rays accountable to where they have to spend 15th or more in baseball, because it's been shown the last 21 years that there's only one team in Major League Baseball history that spent less than 15th and won a World Series. That's all I'm asking. What do you say, Tampa Bay Ray? You got the floor.
First, your article was fantastic, Peter. And anyone who doesn't know your writing, I know, I've seen it. And I even said, even if it was AI, which it wasn't, all they got to do is just, hey, it's got the Sports Web, the Peter Blake mark of seal of approval on it, which means it's coming legit. So I appreciated that. As far as the stadium goes, there was promised to just whoever owned this team in 2027, if you were still within the city limits, you got half of the development rights of what's going to end up being the largest economic development overall, probably for the city of St. Petersburg. I don't know if they're ever going to build a legal casino out on the beaches. That would probably take precedent and be like worth trillions, but this will be the largest economic undertaking for the city of St. Petersburg in its history. And we're not talking about in today's dollars versus 1950 or 1940. But at the end of the day, there's nothing in there. You're right. Like a Tampa Bay Rays fans code of conduct, or, 10 commandments, thou shalt field the best team and be a buyer at the deadline. I get that. I understand where that's coming from. Truth is that, that's not part of this deal as far as the stadium getting done tomorrow. 100% it gets done tomorrow. People want to hate on it. Here's the thing. It's always going to be, could have been a better deal. This camp wants a better deal. That camp says you could have got more affordable housing. This camp said you could have got all of our garbage picked up and no homeless housing. There's always going to be a way to say could have been, should have been, would have been. But at the end of the day, all that was required, a team is here. It's a $6 billion, 20-year development that's going to go on here. The wheels have already, the wheels are already up off of the tarmac, if you will. And that's not for better or worse. It's just because the part of the agreement in place. So it's going to get done 100%. City of Pinellas County is going to fall right. The commission is going to fall right in line next month as well, because at the end of the day, it's good business for this side of the bay. It's just not good for the people in Hillsborough or the Tampanians. They're going to have to travel west to come watch your Rays play. That's the deal.
Do you think the Tampa Bay sports fans should have some type of agreement with Stu and the Rays and saying you have to spend this amount of money, especially if you're getting this much of a commitment from Pinellas County and the taxpayers? Because I look at the Miami Marlins situation. You get a new stadium, you're promised that they're going to be competitive and possibly win a World Series, and then all of a sudden, a couple of years later, you're getting rid of your top players and you're never heard from again. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because, this is Stu Sternberg at the beginning of this year that said, my pay, you're getting ready to get a $6 billion funded stadium that we're going to pay some of it. But at the end of the day, we're going to be pocketing a lot of money. And you're saying, our payroll is pushing 96 million. I'm starting to get a little sweaty over here. And we're like, well, hold on a minute, guy. You're about to get a brand new stadium in paradise. Don't be telling me 96 million is making you sweat. In the future, you've got to be doing everything you can to put the best team on the field. Fortunately, the Rays way, analytics, whatever you want to say, the Rays way works. They're constantly there putting up wild card banners left and right. I'm kidding. That's for Aaron Jacobson and Pat Donovan from WDAE. They're always busting chops about the wild card banners. But, I'd like to hear Stu coming out saying, okay, you guys realize with the new stadium, it's a whole new ball game. But then, of course, for the next 15 years, we're going to be going, well, what about that new ball game? It's never going to be enough. So hopefully we're going to have him more investing and spending, because he's got that money coming in a stadium. And it behooves him not to, Peter, because even though the city, St. Petersburg's doing it, and there's condos going up everywhere, there's going to be 1 million people living. There's already 1 million people living here, it feels like. At the end of the day, you've still got to put butts in the seat. So it behooves this team not to put a winner on a field. And that would include spending money where necessary and putting the best players out on that field.
All right, good stuff, Tampa Bay Ray. We'll read the rest of these comments and we'll get you out of here for the night. Christopher Cole says, Mad Dog is madly mistaking. I like that. Yeah. Of course, JC saying, what's up, fellas? I will read that comment a little bit later. Nothing political right now, although somebody says, voting Donald J. Trump. Congrats, Peter H. Blake. I guess they're voting for it. I'm voting. I don't know. I didn't say anything about.
Hey, you got to take a shot.
Oh my God. All right.
Kidding.
On that note, Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, thanks that you're such a jerk.
Take care, brother.
All right, get out of here. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Of course, tune in here because we will have the latest developments on the Rays situation. And in fact, we'll also have Jake Paul. We'll be out there covering that. We'll see if we can go live. If not, we'll get you some recorded stuff there with hopefully the problem child, Amanda Serrano, and the rest of that camp there at Most Valuable Promotions. Tampa Bay Ray, thanks a lot for your time here on the Evolution. All right.
Take care, brother.
All right, good stuff. So let's go out to Turnbuckle Talk. Patiently waiting. As you can see, a shadow there. That's not my lights. That's my dog. Hello, Alexander. What are you looking for? I already took you out. I'm not taking you out again. So let's go out to the bodyguard of the Berg, Mr. Ralph Williams, here on Turnbuckle Talk. And, welcome to the Evolution.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of things to talk about. I mean, where do we start? What do you think of this Bloodline storyline, which is taking a turn? Not only do you beat down Paul Heyman, you put him through an announce table, but the other night you destroy Randy Orton and also Cody Rhodes. What do you make of this?
Well, Solo Sikoa is getting a little out of control here with this Bloodline thing. And now you said the rumor that I saw, some of the graphics that I saw online, show The Rock, the final boss, with Solo Sikoa's bloodline. And it shows Roman Reigns with the Usos and some other cousins. I've even heard Sami Zayn may be involved in this. If it comes down to it, so of desperation. But we'll see where this goes. And I heard Rikishi's going to be on Roman Reigns' team with his sons, the Usos, because he doesn't like what Solo's doing, and it's going to be a civil war. That match right there, Peter, is going to be the match that makes this might be the best Survivor Series since the first one, when Andre the Giant had a team and Hulk Hogan had a team. Remember that?
Yes.
And I think this just might be one of the best Survivor Series in the history of the WWE with this Civil War.
That's strong comments there from Ralph Williams. Let's go out to David Ruff right there. Great job. Miss you there at work at Policy Scouts. Hopefully we'll be back in a couple days. We'll see what happens. WWE and Call of Duty video game franchise. Are you a Call of Duty fan first and foremost? I never been, but are you?
No.
Okay, well, they have
I'm not.
Collaboration with Cody Rhodes, Rhea Ripley, and Rey Mysterio being featured in Season 5 of Call of Duty Warzone, a Modern Warfare 3. The trailer for the season of the game, which launches on July 24th, can be seen there, so you can go online. Big E shared a video updating fans on how he's feeling more than a month removed from undergoing stem cell treatment. This is what he had to say, which is interesting because he's a local guy here, so we care about local guys. And, of course, he was over, got the championship, and then, of course, got hurt. This was an interview with Getting Over Podcast with Chris Vanini. He explained he has no issues with pain, discomfort, or weakness, and he's been receiving stem cell treatment in an attempt to help his C1 vertebrae form a new bone. Now we're at 2 years in running since I broke my neck. I broke my C1 in 2 places, my C6 as well. I feel great. I have no issues with pain, no issues with discomfort, weakness, any of those things. My strength is great. The only issue is my C1 is healing fibrosely. I guess that's a word. I don't know if that's the right definition, which is great for normal day-to-day life, but it's not turning into a new bone and ossifying yet. They're not going to clear me until that happens. It's obviously a very important bone. Right now, this is a waiting game. I did go to Cancun about a month ago for stem cells. We'll see if that changes anything. Right now, I feel great. I'm just not in a position to be cleared quite yet. So what do we make of Big E? What did you think of Big E? Because, finally he's over. You give him the championship. It's a great moment. And then, and people take this for granted when it comes to professional wrestling as, it's always supposed to work out, and it doesn't necessarily always work out. And you have an incident like this where somebody breaks their neck because it's just the way it happens. Grown men like that are not supposed to do those type of moves, and sometimes it doesn't always work out. So what do you think of the Big E situation and his comments here?
Well, I feel for him, Peter, because I'm going to say this. I have a C7 and a C8 vertebrae issue. I have 2 pinched nerves in both of those vertebrae in my neck. And tomorrow I had an MRI, and tomorrow I am going to go see my doctor, who happens to be the son of the late Dr. Cyril Weck, who just passed away about a few weeks back.
Wow.
He did the autopsy on John F. Kennedy and John Benet Ramsey. He's a world-renowned, coroner, world-renowned forensic pathologist, and everything else. So I'm seeing his son, who's a really good doctor when it comes to this stuff. So I'm going to find out tomorrow what they're going to do with my neck, and I'm having issues with my arms and my hands. I can't, I'm in pain, and that's where it goes. There's times I got to put a heating pad on my neck. One night I was on another podcast, and I had to put the heating pad on my neck in the middle of the podcast. So I mean, I understand what Big E is going through. I have the same issues almost. So I hope he gets better. And sometimes you deal a hand like that in life, Peter. Sometimes things like that happen. But if he stays strong and he has faith, I think Big E will be in good shape.
Well said, Ralph, and that's exactly why I asked you that, because I knew that you were going through some of those situations and definitely wanted to get a perspective. Yasina says, with the fire, thank you very much, Miss Yasina. Appreciate you. Always love when women watch Turnbuckle Talk, and of course the evolution of sports talk television, like more women to watch. Don't mind you guys, but just saying out there. What else? We saw Raw here. We saw Mommy come back. Of course, Liv Morgan. Now there's going to be a match. To nobody's surprise, this is going to be the big time payoff. You got Dominic playing Eddie Guerrero and Mommy playing China there with the Roses. Of course, that's not working out. You've got Mr. Jey Uso trying to put the moves on Mommy.
Mommy, yeah.
What do you make of the storyline? Because it's entertaining. It's been entertaining.
Oh, my gosh. We had this discussion some time back, Peter, you and I, about how AEW doesn't have any storylines, and they don't. But what I'm saying is that the storylines that the WWE have presented to the fans has been one heck of a great time with this. Oh my gosh, the storylines that they have put together. Then Bo Dallas all of a sudden comes out, who's Uncle Howdy. He comes out by himself, and then all of a sudden to confront Chad Gable. And then just all these different storylines, Gunther versus Damian Priest at SummerSlam, and the Judgment Day and the Bloodline. And it's just been one thing after another. But you know what? It has been good for the fans to see these storylines because they have made for some great entertainment.
And look, you ask and you shall receive there, Miss Marquita Graham. Thank you very much for tuning in right there.
boy, Peter, you really got a good women audience there now, huh?
I love it. Keep coming there, women of the sports web. You got to love that. We're on time. Yours truly, along with Mr. Ralph Williams there. So, yeah, I mean, I love that storyline. I get it. It's a soap opera. And then, of course, and that's what it is, guys. When we watch professional wrestling, it's a soap opera on steroids. Yes. Say that 3 times. You got Chad Gable coming out with the Creed brothers, Bo Dallas at the time, and the brother, of course, of Wyndham Rotunda, of course, Bray Wyatt, and Gable is he's throwing him down, beating him up. The Creed brothers are beating up. He keeps on laughing. Wyatt like his brother. And then all of a sudden, here come the Wyatt Six. What do you make of this storyline? Because I tell you right now, he's definitely gotten over. Bo's definitely Uncle Howdy. He's his own character. He definitely shows some flashes there. He's also doing the yeah thing.
Yeah.
I love this whole storyline also. Once again, Triple H and WWE getting it right.
Yes, absolutely. And as I mentioned earlier here, I think the storyline is great here with this. And I'm glad that they're doing something with Bo Dallas because, to be honest with you, Peter, when Bray Wyatt came back the second time or whenever he came back from being hurt or sick or whatever, they didn't really have a storyline for him. He was just coming out doing some things. At least now they're including Bo Dallas. They're getting the Wyatt Six going. They're trying to do a couple different things. So that is good. And it's good. It's good for the ratings, and it's good for the WWE.
It is. It's definitely good for the WWE, and I think again, supernatural element to it. Hasn't been too supernatural, but it's what fans want to see. And I think, also Gable being over with the Creed brothers, that's definitely, more.
I didn't expect that, Peter. I never expected the Creed brothers to come out there and work with him.
That has been the long rumor that it was going to happen. They have kind of foreshadowed it. That's what Triple H does when he does these type of programs. So it's been well done. Anything else that you would take out of Raw and SmackDown right now from WWE?
Nothing much, Peter. I mean, we're seeing what we're seeing there, and then you got Nia Jax going up against Bayley. That storyline is interesting there. We're going to see what Nia does. This is the time right now for Nia Jax to actually do something with herself in wrestling. She has done nothing. She has been suspended. She has been hurt. Everything else. If she really wants to do something, she has to beat Bayley at SummerSlam. I don't see it happening though. I see Bayley keeping her title because Bayley is very. She's good with the mic skills. She's been around a while, and she's good with that title, and it's good for the business. And it's all about the business and about the money. The bloodline thing going on in SmackDown. You can't beat that either. What I want to see, what I really kind of wanted to see at Survivor Series was the Bloodline versus the Judgment Day. I would have loved to have seen something like that. But now they're going to have the Civil War, and I'm telling you, I think this is going to be one of the best Survivor Series in a long time.
I can't wait for it, my friend. Let's move on to AEW. Of course, their 250th episode tonight of AEW Dynamite. Is that crazy in itself? We'll have an overrun. Plus,
I'm surprised they lasted this long, Peter. I really am. I got to give credit to Tony Khan. But the thing is, like Conan said, they're still losing money. And now the father, Khan, is involved in this now. And I heard now that he's got Tony Khan on a budget. And he's now they're starting to cut wrestlers. There's a lot of things they're starting to do different now because the family is tired of hemorrhaging. And don't forget this too, Peter. I don't like talking sports right now, but I will. Jacksonville is getting their stadium fixed up, and the Khans are paying for it. So a lot of that money's going towards that. So
they just re-signed Trevor Lawrence to
exactly
a major deal. So we'll see what happens. But the TV rights deal that they're going to get with Warner Brothers Discovery, that's going to be huge. And the reason why you're going to get that deal is because now the NBA is moving on.
It's off. Yeah, they're not going to be on TNT or TBS at all. They're going to what they're doing, Peter, and it makes sense. The NBA is they're going on major networks like ABC, NBC, that kind of thing, because they want to get the folks who don't have cable, the folks who don't have streaming services. There are people out there that don't have that stuff. They have converter boxes, digital boxes. So now you're going to get that audience, and that audience is important because that's called the free audience. The audience that doesn't pay go get a converter box. You don't pay for cable like I do. You don't pay for streaming services, and you don't pay for any of that, but you pay for a converter, or you have a converter box. And that's a good audience.
You're absolutely correct about that, and that's the audience you're missing out on. Yes. Streaming, and Amazon Prime is also, I believe, on that deal, so we'll see how that works out. Also, the show.
I'm interested, Peter, to see when Raw goes to Netflix. That's the thing I'm really interested to see.
Oh yeah, with the price going up and everything like that. I mean, but I think still, it's a risk. But I think WWE is willing to take that risk, along with Netflix getting into the sports business now with the NFL and paying $75 million to have those games on Christmas. They're getting into all that. And of course, having Jake Paul, Mike Tyson in November. Hopefully that happens. We'll see if that transpires.
We'll see if Mike Tyson gets sick again or has a health issue or something. So we'll find out what's going on with that.
Jake Paul tomorrow, because we'll be there at Amalie Arena with him getting ready to fight Mike Perry. And we'll have some.
That's on Saturday, I believe. My co-host, Smoking Jim Frazier, does a boxing show here in Pittsburgh, and he was telling me on Tuesday when we did our Sports Corner show that that fight's Saturday. So I might just take a look at that fight.
I definitely think you should take a look at that fight. We'll see how long it lasts. The last two fights for Paul have lasted a total of 1 round apiece.
Oh, man.
We'll definitely see if Mike Perry can put up more of a fight there. Will Ospreay and MJF is kicking off the episode. What do you think of that match overall? Because they're considered to be the best wrestlers right now that are not champions in the Swerve Strickland. Will Ospreay, MJF, take my money. What do you think of that matchup?
Well, they started off the show with that match because I was watching it, and I was on another podcast at 9 o'clock. So I do an NFL roundtable on another podcast on YouTube.
Nice.
And I was on there. And at the same time, I was watching the match. When I got started with the podcast, the match was over. That match lasted an hour. This whole episode here of 250, I get it. It's 250. But too much of this and not enough of wrestling, it's uncommon for AEW to do that. Then they had Jericho coming out with his learning tree. Then they had, somebody else coming out and all this other stuff, going on. Mercedes Moné in the back trying to kiss up to the Elite. Just all kinds of crazy stuff. This episode was two great matches. The match at the end with Swerve Strickland, fighting oh gosh, who did he fight? I can't even remember off the top of my head right now.
Yeah,
but anyway,
it's not a storytelling. They don't do enough storytelling.
No,
but
they don't.
So that match went an hour to lead it off. That went a whole.
That went a whole hour. Yeah, MJF won the belt, but it went a whole hour. And I thought that this was not a great creative decision by the AEW to do this, because this is your 250th episode, Peter. You should have more matches than this. Flapping at the gums, and stuff like that.
Let's go out to Christopher Cole. Don't forget, tipping time will be waiting in the wings.
Yes.
SummerSlam, absolutely.
Drew McIntyre.
Yes, Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. That's storyline in itself.
Peter.
Yes. All right. With that being said, let's talk about some moments in Dynamite history. As Khan named some of his favorite moments, see if you can remember. The debut of Sting at Winter is coming in 2020. The arrival of Sting. Do you remember where you were at? Because I remember that whole episode of that whole segment was amazing. Nobody thought that was going to happen. Sting comes out. I believe he confronts Taz and Brian Cage. And also he has a stare down with Cody and a stare down with Darby Allin and a stare down with Arn Anderson. But it's friggin' Sting coming out. What do you remember about that moment? Of course,
I didn't expect Sting to come out. I actually thought he had retired after his thing with the WWE, and I thought maybe perhaps he wasn't coming back to wrestling at his age. He's 65 years old now, and I give him a lot of credit for being in shape to wrestle like he did and still doing the moves that he was doing. I was probably here in my apartment because it was during COVID that this was going on. And in 2019, the very first Double or Nothing, I was in Raleigh, North Carolina with a nice big fat cigar in my mouth, which I can't smoke anymore because of my health. Jeez. I had a big fat cigar in my mouth, and I watched Double or Nothing in the back of my late aunt's townhouse, because that's where my family and I were staying, because she passed away, and I was put in as executor of her estate. So I had to go down to Raleigh and straighten everything up. And I was down there for almost a month. And I got to tell you, it's nice down there. And that's where I was watching Double or Nothing. It was a great match between the Rhodes brothers, John Moxley versus Kenny Omega. That was a great match. And it was, but see, that's the type of stuff I was looking for tonight, Peter. And that long match with MJF and Will Ospreay, that didn't cut it for me.
Didn't cut it for you. All right. Good stuff there by Ralph Williams. It's Turnbuckle Talk. Open phone lines if you want to get in and talk about your favorite professional wrestling storylines. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. My dog has joined me once again. I don't know why.
My friend Bill's dog does that when we do our show the way we see it on Monday nights. His dog gets involved in the thing too.
I have no idea why he does that. The question is I want to go out to Instagram Live. The question I have is, what is Ray watching on TV? Laugh out loud. Do you know they're going to do anything special for Monty Kiffin and a game this year for his passing? I do not. Hillmark, I know you want to call in and talk about Turnbuckle Talk. And, well, let's go ahead and go out to the phone lines. What's your name? Where you're
Great
calling
job.
from? You're on Turnbuckle Talk.
Great job.
Great job. What's going on, Dave? Welcome, buddy. What's on your mind tonight?
Hey, man. Great show as always. I just hopped on real quick. I just wanted to talk a little bit about our buddy CM Punk.
Yes, CM Punk. You like that storyline with
Punk.
him and Drew
I
McIntyre
do.
going back and forth, and McIntyre having the
love
last laugh, if you will, in Chicago, beating the
Right.
hell out of him. Yes.
Yes. I was wondering how we're going to handle his health, because I could see that obviously he's coming back from this triceps injury. They've been talking about he's in the wings. They're trying to get clearance. He's supposed to be ready for SummerSlam. Do you think it's best that, after his fight in SummerSlam, that they just use him as just a pay-per-view event, maybe once every couple months, because he can't wrestle anymore like once or twice a month? He can't be on Raw and SmackDown and doing all that, what he did in AEW, obviously.
Sure.
So do you think he'll be more like a Brock Lesnar type, just come in for the pay-per-view, do the build, or where do you see the future CM Punk?
I'm going to answer this question. I think if he's fully healthy, listen, they're going to take their time with him, but I definitely think Punk wants to wrestle a full-time schedule. He doesn't want to be a part-timer. Are they going to be safe with him because of the injury? They may, but I think, again, this storyline will most likely last until WrestleMania. And don't be surprised, if it's one where there's so many ways you could go with CM Punk, right? I mean, you could go with CM Punk versus Roman Reigns. Well, why would you go with Roman Reigns? Well, because he's going to be with who? He's going to be with Paul Heyman. Why do you do that type of storyline? Well, maybe Paul Heyman comes up, or they say, well, you didn't protect the wise man. And remember, Paul Heyman was a CM Punk guy. You could go with Cody. You could go with Seth Rollins. There's so many directions you could go with CM Punk. That's the great thing about it. You just don't know. So to say I think it's a part-time thing, I'm not sure it's a part-time. I mean, is he going to wrestle full-time? I don't know. I mean, Ralph, what do you say? I think he wants to go full-time, depending on the injury situation.
I think he wants to go full-time too, Peter, but you have to think he was out of wrestling for 7 years, and he sat on the couch for 7 years. He tried to do MMA and he got burned. Okay. So what I'm saying is that his stamina is not there like it used to be. And he's older now. He can't do the full-time schedule probably that he did when he was younger than what he is now. And you could tell when he wrestles, his stamina is not there. I watched him in AEW a lot, and he was slow on the match. It's like Adam Copeland. Adam Copeland is older now, and he can't wrestle like he did before. CM Punk's the same way. I think WWE needs to come up with some kind of a plan to make sure that he doesn't get hurt again, and also make sure that he has the stamina to be able to go a full-time schedule if that's what they want him to do. We'll see what goes on with CM Punk, but right now what he's doing is probably where he needs to be.
And I think in the matches he put on in AEW were pretty impressive, especially
they were. Yeah.
He's great on the mic, and whether he's in the wrestling ring or not.
Right.
And you've seen that.
Yeah. And he's good for controversy, Peter. For years, he's been with controversy.
Sure.
I mean,
He's great on the mic. He's great behind the camera. He does a great job with analyzing and stuff like that. But I definitely think they're going to use him as much as they can. So to answer your question, is it okay to be careful with him? Yeah, I think to a certain degree you're going to, because you don't want him to be hurt, but also you want CM Punk to be involved in these storylines, as we talked about, with not only Drew McIntyre, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, natural heat there, possibly even Cody Rhodes, because let's face it, I thought they were going to do something with Cody Rhodes and CM Punk. It certainly seemed like something was going to happen, and of course they pivoted because CM Punk got hurt and because the fans wanted, of course, Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns to finish the story. So I think there's a multitude, a Leo word, of ways you can go
with this. Yeah. And you know what? Paul Heyman might even start a faction of his own. And CM Punk could be involved in that, because remember, guys, he did a really good job when he was in Nexus. Remember that?
Yes.
And he did a terrific job when he was in Nexus and carrying that group. So I think there could be a possibility you might see Paul Heyman with CM Punk form a faction. And who knows? It could be Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns. it could be a real powerful faction.
Well, I don't think it's going to be that. I think it would be more of, Paul Heyman turning on Roman Reigns to go CM Punk. And
Punk,
the built-in storyline is
there's a lot of that. A lot of storylines we can go with this.
Right.
And that's,
I mean, to me, and it made sense. And I think this was, and I don't know if you heard these comments. I think it was from Bully or from Devon. I think it was Bully, how he said that once Roman Reigns comes back, he's going to be an ultimate baby face.
Yes, he is.
Because of the Paul Heyman situation. Well, how about, he's ultimate babyface, but you have Paul Heyman, who's better as a heel, turn on Roman Reigns and go with CM Punk. And now you have CM Punk as a heel, which I think at the end of the day, David, you would have to agree, Punk is a better heel than a face, right?
Well, I mean, I agree to that aspect. I mean, I think he does both well, kind of like with Steve Austin when they tried to make him heel and crowds would still cheer him anyway.
Right,
so,
right.
I mean, CM Punk I think his ultimate goal would be, obviously, he wants to be in WrestleMania 2025 in the main event. It's going to be crowded, though, with Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes and The Rock and John Cena. So we'll see what happens. But I'd like to see him main event WrestleMania.
You got Cena in the picture, yes.
We haven't even talked about John Cena. What did you think about that? Announcing his retirement, but not retiring right away here, going on a full-time schedule, if you will, until 2025. What did you think of that, Dave? Were you surprised by that?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was great that they, did the build up at Money in the Bank and kind of like doing a farewell tour. Now we're going to see what Triple H and the creative team does as far as picking his opponents. And, obviously he's probably going to be doing, obviously, face, being baby face. And we'll see what he does as far as maybe putting people over. Maybe some of the mid-carders or up-and-comers. There's a lot of opportunities and a lot of different roads he could go to. But, yeah, I'm pretty excited about the John Cena farewell tour as well.
Good stuff, Dave. Use that second call if you want to here on the Turnbuckle Talk. And, of course, as always.
Thank you for your call, David.
Great job.
Thank you, guys. Great job, guys.
All right.
Thank you. Have a great one. Thank you.
Up there, open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. It's Turnbuckle Talk here on the evolution of Sports Talk Television, as we are just talking about AEW right now, the 250th episode of AEW Dynamite, to go with Nick Khan. Not Nick Khan. That's the other guy. Nick Khan runs WWE. Tony Khan putting out the moments there. Return of Darby Allin in Atlanta. It was February of 2020 to set up his AEW Revolution match against Sammy Guevara. Coming out of the Jon Moxley versus Jeff Cobb match. Do you remember that? Darby Allin in Atlanta?
Yes, I do remember that match. Okay, yes, I remember all that.
All right, title change. Mr. Brody Lee, rest in peace, of course, winning the TNT Championship in Daly's place in Jacksonville to close out Saturday Night Dynamite after the NBA playoffs. Do you remember that one?
Yes.
Okay, I remember that too. Promo, Jon and Moxley first coming back from treatment. He says, I thought it was super powerful. He wanted to talk to the fans, and that was completely a real moment. I'm really proud and appreciative of Jon. I really owe him a lot in wrestling and in life. And then he also says men's match and women's match, Hangman Page versus Bryan Danielson, the American Dragon, 60-minute draw. Remember that match?
Yeah, that was a real good match. Oh, yes, absolutely.
Like that 60-minute draw. Over you saw tonight over Ospreay and MJF.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right. Yeah. Well, MJF won the belt, so he's got the international title.
MJF.
I love it, MJF. Even if he's a heel now, I love MJF. See, let me say this, Peter, and I wanted to say this earlier when Dave was on with us, but you got guys like the Roman Reigns types that can be either one of them, or the fans kind of like that little in-betweener. And what I mean by the in-betweener is I'm talking like Stone Cold Steve Austin. He was a heel, but everybody liked him. MJF is like that. Okay, you got Roman Reigns like that. You got a few of these guys like Drew McIntyre. He might be a heel, but everybody likes him. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's exactly where, CM Punk kind of fits in that category. You know what I mean? I call them the in-betweeners,
Yeah.
No, in between heel and a baby face.
Well, yeah, you just say there's a gray area there. That's what it comes out to. So we read that comment already. So, yeah, and then there's a contract signing for Slammiversary. Main event will take place on TNA Impact. I don't know if you watch TNA. I still watch a little bit of TNA when I can. Like I said, when I'm not working.
Well, they have their own website now, and they got away from. I think they got away from Access TV. They're on their own. They have their own website. It's called TNA Plus, and it's a month. You have to pay a monthly payment, and you get the pay-per-views as well. So
Okay.
kind of like WWE Network used
Right.
to be.
The TNA World Championship match will be Nick Nemeth, of course. I'm trying to think of his name.
Dolph Ziggler.
Dolph Ziggler, the show off there. Frankie Kazarian, who's, I don't know how this guy doesn't get over, how he hasn't been successful. He's got the look. He's not great on the mic, but he's good in the ring. He's a good, a good worker.
Yeah.
Josh Alexander, Joe Henry, who's completely over with the crowd, showing up on NXT. That song is annoying. I'm sorry. Sorry about that, Frankie. I know you love that. And Steve Macklin in a 6-way elimination match at Saturday's pay-per-view. Moose told the Metro that he thinks TNA's working relationship with WWE is the best relationship TNA has ever had. He says, I think this is the best relationship that TNA's ever had, but way better than the one we had with AEW. Better.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Look
Yes.
what?
Yes.
Wow. Better than
No, I agree with Moose because that working relationship went down the toilet. I mean, it literally went down the toilet there, that working relationship. And I don't know if you noticed or not, but I heard a rumor that there's talks in place with Tony Khan and Scott D'Amore. He's going to have Scott D'Amore run ROH, and they're going to try to move it away from AEW and do their own little thing. Scott D'Amore's going to run it.
And I think Scott D'Amore, and look, TNA's done a good job, but I don't understand the firing in the first place. I mean, the guy has a mind for the business. He's been about the business for the last 30 to 35 years. I think that shocked a lot of people. I think it pissed off a lot of wrestlers there.
I think he wasn't a company man. That's what I believe. Okay. Because he's a former wrestler. And, a lot of these companies and a lot of these things, if you're not a company man, you're out. You're out the door, gone, goodbye. But, and I think he wasn't a company man. Remember that time Tommy Dreamer came down and said he was the executive for Anthem that time? So again, he's not a company man. So, and sometimes that'll get you in trouble. And I think that's what happened. I think D'Amore wanted to do his thing, and the company, Anthem Sports, wouldn't let him do it. And the next thing you know, they're fighting amongst each other. And it was nice to part ways. I think it was wrong, but it was nice to part ways.
Moose goes also to say it was better than what was done with AAA and any other company.
Yes.
I think this relationship with WWE, both companies respect each other and are doing great by each other. And there's not one company that is being selfish. Both companies are doing great. So I think this is how a relationship is meant to be in pro wrestling, and TNA and WWE is doing the best job of it. And I would look forward to seeing Moose in NXT.
Yeah. Oh, I would love to see Moose in NXT. Go up against that big guy that is the Northern or the North American champion, that real big dude. I can't remember his name on NXT, but I'd like to see them two go at it. That would be an interesting match.
Sure, you could see him against Trick Williams. I mean, he makes some matches there. Moose versus Braun Breaker. I mean, Moose has been over for years. It's time for him.
It's his time. It is. It's now his time. I said this on my wrestling segment on Tuesday. I said that it's his time. It's been Moose's time for a long time, and finally he's getting his just due, being the heavyweight champion at TNA.
All right, let's talk about Dustin Rhodes, 55. He tweeted out, responded to the post that cited rumors about he was expected to leave AEW when his contract expired in September, and stated that his contract was up in September, but he was absolutely not done. In fact, he wants to retire on his own terms. He had this to say: wrong. Geez, guys, do better. Yes, my contract is up in September, and no, I'm absolutely not done having the best matches of my life, and hopefully, God willing, I will get to retire on my own terms. Respected with a full heart. Hopefully negotiations go well, because I am damn worth the world. The only thing that matters to me are taking care of my family first and foremost, finishing up when I'm ready, and how I envision my retirement. So hold off, guys. The business is my life. I love doing it for you while still having fun and able to keep stepping. And thank you for all the continued love and support. First and foremost, Dustin can still go. I still think if he does leave AEW, it's a perfect spot for him to land with WWE and Cody Rhodes. I thought
I'm hearing Orton Anderson's coming back to WWE to be the coach again for Cody Rhodes.
Wow, that would be amazing in the storyline in itself. In your opinion, is Dustin done from what you see? Because I don't think he's done. And then on top of it, is Dustin a Hall of Famer in your opinion? What he's in the wrestling world? Why or why not?
Well, he's done a lot. He was different characters in TNA. He held some belts. He had some gold in the WWE when he was Goldust, and then on top of that, he's also done some stuff with AEW. So he is a Hall of Famer. He's done a lot in his career. It just doesn't show it, but he's done a lot.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And he has the last name of Rhodes too, Peter. So don't forget that too.
Well, and I definitely think that some of the things he's done overall for the business have been underappreciated, especially with the gold thing. It's a gimmick. It worked. It's a weird gimmick, but it definitely worked for him. I think there's a lot of people envisioned that he was going to be like Cody Rhodes now, be Dusty Rhodes, and they tried that and didn't necessarily work out, and then they went with Goldust and everything else. As always, with that being said, I don't know what dog, why are you crying in the background? Of course, the big story there.
Hey, my dog was barking at me before I went on to my first podcast tonight. I was trying to get him to calm down so he wouldn't interfere.
It's the weirdest thing. He's in the background and he's barking for some reason. I think he's trying to get into my sister's room. What do you want? Why are you barking almost 11 o'clock at night? You don't want to go out. Okay, I don't know what to say at this point. Of course, the big time story was the Martha. Hey, shut up over there. The Women's Owen Hart Cup tournament, which was won by Mariah May. Toni Storm is walking her up the ringside, and then all of a sudden, to be expected, but in a gruesome fashion, she destroys Toni Storm, makes her bleed, hits her with the belt. And of course, now she was supposed to speak tonight, didn't get a chance to see that. How surprised were you by all that happening with May and, of course, Toni Storm?
Oh, I didn't expect that. I thought Willow Nightingale was going to be the second time Owen Hart women's champion there, or whatever that is. And, so I thought that was going to happen, but it didn't. And I was really shocked that this Mariah May won this match. I was surprised she turned on Toni Storm. It was a big surprise. That actually was a pretty decent thing going on there as well. I'm interested to see how much further Mercedes Moné is going to go. She has 2 championship belts right now. And right now she's the face of the women's division for AEW at this time.
Yeah, exactly. My dog keeps saying. I think
Britt Baker too. I'm interested to see what she does. I see him there. That's pretty hilarious. I saw his tail. So
what? I don't know what you want. I took you out earlier before. All right, let's go out to the phone.
No,
lines.
you know what it is, Peter. He probably wants a treat, so he wants to go out again. So he knows we'll give him a treat, and then when he comes back, well, I had my sister had a dog that did that.
You need to chill out, Al. All right, let's go out to the phone lines. Frankie, using your second call, your third call, but your call for the night for Turnbuckle Talk. Be quiet, Alexander. I'll take you out I will take you out when I'm done, boss. All right. Let's go out to Frankie here. Frankie, welcome to the Evolution with yours truly, along with Alexander, and of course the bodyguard of the Berg, Ralph Williams. Stop it, Al. Go ahead.
What's going on, Ralph? How you doing tonight, sir?
Hey, I'm doing good, Frankie. Thank you, man. How are you?
I'm doing quite well. I got to watch an amazing episode of AEW.
How was that for you tonight?
Oh, that was amazing. It's just too bad that it was in such a small stadium for the 250th episode. If you're going to have a 250th episode, why do you put it in such a small stadium?
Yeah,
well, Frankie, I know why. Because AEW now is going into smaller venues because they're not selling out where they're at. Like for instance, they were at some of the bigger venues. They didn't sell out. They hardly sold tickets. In fact, they had to move. They had an AEW Dynamite scheduled for a city, and they had to move it to another city because there wasn't enough ticket sales, so they had to cancel. So I mean, that's why they're having it in the smaller venues.
Well, let me drop this on you, Ralph. As we let me drop
Now you know what I go through, Peter. It happens to me too.
Killing me right now. You're killing me, Alexander. It's 11:30 at night and you're barking like a moron.
Go ahead, Frankie.
Go ahead, Frank. I'm sorry.
This is some knowledge I'm going to drop on you. The reason why everybody is not going to AEW events is it's just this is the massive problem. Tony Khan he's giving you a wrestling pay-per-view that's 3 hours long, but he's going to give you 15 matches.
Yeah.
In a 2-hour pay-per-view or 20. Why are you giving? I don't care. Like, okay, seriously, if we're going to have a match that's now I'm like, this is hypothetical. If I got a match that's Darby Allin versus Will Ospreay, is that match going to be fucking epic as hell? Oh, yeah. It's going to be a barn burner. But why are they fighting?
Well, there's no rhyme or reason. That's the problem with AEW. I love AEW. I think they've got great talent, but they don't Al. They don't know how to, tell a story and long-term storytelling, and that's what
they're
WWE
creative. Their creative stinks. And you know something too. Don't forget. I keep hearing rumors. Shane McMahon has been talking with Tony Khan. Now I don't know if he's going to buy into the business. I hear he's getting involved, and he may even wrestle again there, or become a manager or something, or do something. They need some kind of kickstart AEW to do this.
They do. Frankie, we got to wrap this up because I think my dog's got to go out and he's going to
bark. Sounds like he wants to go potty.
Yeah. That's exactly what he's going to do here in a moment.
Let me just end with this.
Yes.
My Instagram. I'm getting really hyped here. I want to tell you about this.
I know you are with Joe Henry.
I have 3 major wrestling podcast places that I'm literally in contact with. They're messaging me on my Instagram, and they're like,
amazing.
Dude, your content is great. Keep up all the good work. Joe Henry
thank you.
will follow you back. Look at the stuff that you put out every day.
It's amazing.
Your content is amazing. And I'm just like, dude, honestly, I'm not sitting there trying to get all the fans in the world. I just enjoy wrestling like everybody else in the world. And I want to put funny videos out there to make everybody laugh. Because, damn it, when we're having a hard day, because life sucks sometimes. And we just need a good laugh.
Yes, you're exactly
right. That's what
right.
I want to do. I want to give you a good laugh.
Frankie, you're doing a great job of it, and I would like
to
do a lot longer, but my dog is looking at me right now like a moron, and I think he's ready to do something. So I have to let him go. Thank you very much.
Ralph, you have a great evening, sir.
Hey, you too, Frankie. Thank you. Have a good night. God bless and be safe.
Alexander, my friend.
We'll do, my friend. All right, good stuff there. Go ahead and wrap this up, Ralph. Let me go out to Christopher Cole really quick. Great show, guys. Good night.
Thank you, Christopher.
Ralph, go ahead. Give me some final thoughts before I kill my dog here.
Well, I think SummerSlam's card looks good, and I agree with Frankie on the fact that AEW always has too many matches on their pay-per-view. And, I know an independent wrestling promoter here named Bubba Brewer who does a wrestling show, and he and I have always conversed on our shows, and he said the same thing. He said it was a good pay-per-view, but they just had too many matches, and sometimes some of their pay-per-views go like 5 hours. I mean, it's like crazy. And it can get kind of boring because there's too many matches. At least WWE has X amount of matches. 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 at the most. And that's it. And they're long matches.
I can't deal with this dog anymore. Look at this.
Well, I told you how many times that's happened to me. I mean,
That's terrible. All right. Ralph, thanks a lot for the time here on Turnbuckle.
You're welcome. Anytime, man.
Thank you, sir. Okay. All right. Hush up. I got a couple minutes here to thank everybody, and then I'll take you out, okay? Sounds good? No, I didn't ask you to talk back. All right, guys, thanks a lot to all the guests tonight. The legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty. Of course, Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy. Yes, I know you like him. J.C. Allen, and, of course, the great Ralph Williams. like and subscribe to the Sports Web on YouTube. Friend me on Facebook at Peter H. Blake, and God have mercy on my soul if my dog does not shut up right now. Michael, thank you very much. Great show.
Oh,
Appreciate
yeah.
you. I've definitely got to take him back or take him out. Take him back to the pound if he keeps it up. 3 things. You know him, you love him, you got to have him. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake, your Rolex reporter. What time is it? It's my time. And for fans of the Sports Web and the Tampa Bay sports fan, including Mr. Alexander the dog, it's your time. We'll see you next time on the evolution of Sports Talk Television. God, this dog.